Okay. I think we're okay now. Make sure my volume is up. There we go. Should humans respect animals? I'll wait a little bit longer for some people to come in. Should humans respect animals? I've also got some resources here. Got Challenge 22. Oh, actually, hold on, let me turn off that. Oh, that didn't work. Is that better? Yeah, it's better. Okay. So I've got resources. Oh, my hand doesn't want to show up. Right here, got Chat and Cronometer. Chat is not a resource. Well, it is. It's just more like it itself is not the resource. It can just take you to resources, like Google. And then I've got Challenge 22 if you want to talk to an actual professional dietitian for free. Talk about what your needs are specifically. They can even help you meal plan. And then I've got nutritionfacts.org. My hand does not want to pop up. It's not helping me. But anyway, nutritionfacts.org makes videos breaking down the studies that talk about what is healthy. What does it mean for a food item to be healthy? And what has been the most successful things that we eat that make us healthy? So anyway, going live just always makes my mouth dry. I know I'm gonna have to talk a lot, and I'm like getting prepared. I don't think that you should be purchasing animals because they're sentient individuals for your entertainment. If you're rescuing someone who genuinely needs your help, that is absolutely commendable, because humans have made a pet problem. We've taken animals out of the wild, bred out the genes or the traits we don't like because they're usually going to be more aggressive towards us, or there's going to be dangers of keeping them. So we take away their defense mechanism so that we can then do what we want to them. I think that's cruel. I don't think that's fair to them. It's just another type of enslavement, and I don't think that's fair. Your God, if it's the Christian God, also made Garden of Eden, which I believe was his original plan, right? That was plan 1.0, and if God is perfect, that means he didn't make a mistake. And if I understand correctly, the Garden of Eden was vegan. Nobody used each other, and there was no death there. It wasn't until sin entered the world, and so I don't really understand using sin to justify you being allowed to do awful things. You wouldn't starve if you go vegan, unless you are just literally starving yourself. But there's something called the Dailey Dozen. It's from nutritionfacts.org. Look up Dailey Dozen or Vegan Dailey Dozen, and it's just a checklist to make sure you get everything you need. Yeah, you don't need to take someone's life for your religion. Culture does not justify crossing someone's bodily autonomy, without their consent. Exactly. Can you respect an animal while taking its life? No. Yes, but we can aim for that. We can aim for a vegan world. Alright, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm too slow to... Oh, I see we have some guests. Hunting Apple. I'm not going to take you first just because I know you're going to be a long haul. Appreciate you being here, though. I'll take you up next. Is this Levi's? Levis?
Yeah, how you doing?
Are you over 18?
Yeah, my birthday is October 2nd, 2006.
Okay. So, do you think humans should respect animals?
Yeah, for sure, but I think everything you say is like pretty valid to an extent. The one thing I don't understand is like you say you can't animal without not respecting it, but Do you agree that we're animals? Like, I'm just confused if I could have had an equal chance being born a cow as a person. So how like how is it foul for me to go kill an animal for my benefit to survive? Like for my like animal instincts, you know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree that we're very similar to animals, at least morally, for sure, we're the same. And to take their life, I feel, is very, for no reason, is very similar to taking a human life for no reason. So I agree with you that it's similar. So it's wrong to take human life, right? So what makes it okay to harm
For
animals
most
or to use
for
animals?
most contexts, but I'm saying like for pure survival instinct, like if someone comes up on me and is gonna violate like my body, shit, I'm gonna blast back on them. And if I'm starving, like obviously not in today's context, but like when I see an animal and if I'm gonna die, then it's just my animal instinct to go kill that and eat it. And I'm
Do you
sure
shop
if
at a grocery store?
no,
Oh, so how do you get your food?
DoorDash.
Okay. So you have options, is what I'm saying. You're not
Yeah,
on survival. You're, just living within our society. So you have options available to you. You don't have to use animals. You can eat plant-based things.
but I'm saying
That's
like
it.
in the grand scheme of things, like not just me. Say I was like lived in a third world country where I didn't have access to the things I do. I see a little like rat
But
on the
okay, so
ground.
I'm not going to talk about other countries. I'm talking about you individually. I'm talking, you know, to you.
Well,
Do
your
you
your
think
TikTok says
that
should
humans?
humans, yeah, should
Yeah.
humans respect animals?
Okay. Well, if we're
I'm just
going to
trying to get
talk
your
about people
broader.
in other countries, absolutely, they should respect animals as well, even if they have to, in survival mode, use someone. But that means it's kind of like if I was on an island and there was another human with me, there's a chance I might unalive that human so that I can survive, right?
Exactly. So that
Okay. So when I'm asking should humans respect animals, even if in a survival mode there might be some justification or understanding of me needing to survive, so I'll do what I need to, that's still immoral to take someone's life and use them for your benefit, right?
well, it's
So
not really your
it's
benefit, it's your
understandable
survival.
in survival mode, but when you're not in survival mode, it's just injustice. And just because in survival mode you can justify something, that doesn't mean in everyday life then you can exploit that individual. So as I said, maybe I'm on an island with a baby that I know isn't going to make it. Does that mean then if I'm willing to unalive a baby in survival mode, that when I'm not in survival mode, I can exploit babies for food, human babies?
Cause like you could go to Burger King and get a burger instead of killing a baby.
Right, I have options, which is what I'm telling you. You have other options. You don't need to eat a sentient being. You can eat plant-based things.
It's non-sentient. It's like
Okay, so back to respecting animals. Why is it that I am not, why is it okay and respectful in your eyes when I'm not in survival mode to demand animals be used and unalive without their consent? Why is that moral?
how's an animal gonna give consent? Like, is it gonna roll
They
over and
can't,
like?
right? But
So then, are they sentient?
lack of consent does not equal consent. So just because someone can't communicate reliably with you, that doesn't give you freedom to do whatever you want to them. That's not
But
respecting them. That's
but they
just
do.
using as exploiting
But
someone for your benefit.
but animals do the same thing to each other, and we're animals. So
But
like,
you're a moral agent. They're moral patient. So you understand what's right and wrong. You have the luxury of weighing out
what
your
if?
experiences and what is right and what's justice and what's injustice.
Well, I've seen animals know the difference between right and wrong. Like
Right.
they have.
Yeah, some animals, yeah, I'm not denying they're very similar to us. But in survival mode, like we just talked about, I can justify eating and unaliving a baby in survival mode. Animals are in survival mode out there. And many of them are just they have instincts because that's what helps them survive those harsh environments. We left that. We recognized the injustice of being used or unalive without our consent. We protected ourselves. We left nature and went into houses, right? Animals are still out there exposed to everything.
That's true. We did not very long ago in the terms of evolution, right? So like evolution happens over millions of years. I wake up, I feel like hunting. I feel like smashing bitches, cuz
No,
it's in my
okay, you're being
DNA.
ridiculous right now. Do you want to actually have a true conversation? Because someone who genuinely has the impulse to cause harm to animals, we all know, is a danger to society, or at least considered a danger to society as they might progress onto humans. No one thinks that a person is sane or normal if they wake up thinking, I need to cause harm to an animal. Do you hear what you're saying? You're muted right now. I muted you because you're being grotesque. I'll give you another second to find your microphone. It's down in the corner.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm saying I don't wake up with the idea like I want to go like
Well, that's
in.
what you just said.
No, 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 no. Hold on. Maybe that's how it like interpreted to you, but I
That's
don't go
literally
out.
what you said.
Well, I said
You
I said
said
hunting.
smashing bitches.
Well, yeah, in the terms of reproduction, because that's one of the human
All right,
like that was.
Lewis, what justifies you using animals when you do not need to?
No, I'm saying I
Move
do.
on. Let's go.
No, 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 no. You're not letting me finish. You're interrupting me. I'm not saying like my instinct is to harm animals, like right, like when I said like wake up and hunt. It's not like I want to go.
You literally just said it again. You wake up and you want to harm animals. It's not about you, it's about the victims. You're literally causing victims. You do not need to cause victims. All right. Hunter, come on up. You got to be over 18.
I haven't quite kicked in yet.
There you go. You over 18?
Dang it.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I got you now. Your bars went down. Oh,
I don't know
keep
if it's
going
coming
down.
through, but I'm 34. Hang on a second.
Okay.
What the hell? But yes,
Well,
I am 34. I
did.
think I just fixed the
Got
connection
it.
issue.
Perfect. So, should humans respect animals?
I think that there is an inherent amount of respect that should be given to every living creature, absolutely. I do
Okay.
understand the vegan movement. I get where, and I am opposing, but I do get where the argument's coming from, right?
Okay.
So there's a
Yeah.
few things that I'm on, and I get that like certain things just cannot be avoided because, right, like we just don't have the technology, and there's certain things that are made with animal byproducts, but we can make the cognizant choice to step away from those endeavors, like using technology, which uses a lot of animal, byproducts, fats, tallows, things of that nature to do so. So, and then cars, any cast item on a car, especially modern vehicles with the frames that they now have, most of their parts are used, you know, they're made through a casting process. The reason I know is I worked at one of these facilities for a while.
What does
So
casting have to do with animals?
So I'll explain the die casting process. You take two
Well,
dies.
hold on. I don't care. The point is, it doesn't matter. You can make the choices in choices that you have, right? You can make a cognizant choice, as you said, to not use animals. There are some items that regrettably do still use animals. As a vegan person, you can speak up about that though and demand an option that doesn't have animals. And if we decreased our use of animals in basically our food and other, mostly food and clothing and vivisection, we wouldn't have as many of these kind of byproducts that go into maybe your die casting, into sheetrock, into tires, into asphalt, whatever. The only reason why they use those resources is because we have so many of them, so they're a cheap, easy resource. But we can do alternatives. We don't need to use them. We can figure it out. If we care about justice, we can figure out alternatives.
Exactly my point. Now, here comes the question to you then. Knowing that certain products still have it, why is the vegan movement as a whole not abstaining completely from them to not give those things a market?
So I'm gonna still have to live in this world. I can't go live as I don't have the money to go live as like a monk in the forest or something. Like it takes money to abstain from everything, unless you want to be homeless and die early. But I want to speak up for the animals, and I feel that if I harm myself, or I could just unalive myself, right? I feel that I can still bring good to the world as a living person. So to end myself essentially would be a loss, because someone that could have done good is harmed themselves and taken themselves out.
So practicality is, I mean, Lydia is actually
Yeah,
proof.
it's what you are literally able to choose. Like I live in a house. Apparently I was told there's animal stuff in the sheetrock. I can't change that. But if I was to buy a house that had option, I would choose the option that didn't use the animals, because I want to make the demand that I don't want animals used. Like if I have the option, I'll use my voice. If I can't make that choice, like if I have to live in a shelter, I'm not going to live out in the forest.
So let me defend you for a second. Just Big Mac, living with the Amish would actually be a vegan's nightmare. They use tallow in a lot of their cooking. They use a lot of animal byproducts. So like I really do understand like the ideology behind veganism. Even though I am what I consider to be an ethical hunter, I do try and source, the animal byproducts that I do consume from my own means in a humane-ish fashion. You wouldn't consider.
Do you live near other sources though, like for like grocery stores or whatever?
Yeah, but I try not to give in to that
Okay.
big.
So the problem is you have an option that doesn't harm someone, or at least doesn't exploit someone specifically. And you're choosing to still go out into the forest and exploit someone who's been living their life and wants to continue living their life. Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I totally agree. I get what you're trying here, and
Okay.
I do actually like somewhat support what you guys are trying to do, but I still have my lifestyle, and if I am going to partake in the consumption of, I'd rather it be through the most humane avenue of, out there known to
Okay.
man, which is like I will
Can I ask you?
myself
Can I ask
if it,
can I ask you why do you want it to be humane? Why does it matter at all?
because if it ever came to the point where we were not the top species due to our technology and minds, because other than that we're not, um, I would want somebody to have the same care if they were gonna do the same thing to me. You know what I mean? It's just,
Okay.
and this is also coming
What
from
about what about what if the option was to not use you? They could either unalive you in a harmful way, unalive you in a humane way, or not unalive you at all.
I get the vegan approach. I get it, and that would be wonderful.
I don't think you do, because you're just kind of sloughing it off as in it's my right to take their life, which is the point. What gives you that right to take even a wild animal's life in a humane way?
So it's drastically healthier one for me to consume.
That's
Just let me
so.
let me finish real quick.
That's not a moral justification.
So it is drastically healthier for me to consume. It affords those animals a better life up to that point instead of being in captivity. And I don't agree with mass captive animals and stuff like that.
The options for that deer are not captivity or wild. That deer was always going to be wild. Captive animals don't even need to exist. We don't even need to breed them into existence. So that doesn't make sense, first off.
100%.
And personally, if I was a deer, I would rather take my chances with the predators or the wasting disease. I'd rather take my chances with that than be taken as a young deer in my prime.
So I mean, I get it. Everything wants to live out there. But
You
there's
keep
only,
saying that, but you're still thinking.
well,
I
hear me
haven't
out.
heard the justification. Okay, go ahead.
Like you just said, there are predators out there. There are predator species that are strictly carnivore. There's omnivores and stuff like that, and I get it. To be honest with you, we're not even supposed to be eating half the stuff that's on the vegan diet either. We're more frutivores. So
Okay, it
if
doesn't
you go
matter.
back, no,
It
seriously,
doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, you don't need to use animals. It doesn't matter about the nutrition. We know for a fact. I understand you're saying for you it's different. It's not. We can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. There are people that bodybuild that are purely plant-based. There are people that live off grid that are purely plant-based. You can do it. It's possible. You have options, especially because you have a grocery store. And so since you have options, you're putting a sentient being through the worst, most terrifying thing, even out in the wild. Just for your entertainment and your taste pleasure. Go ahead.
no, actually, in the human body, animal protein is much better broken down and affords better.
So I
mineral.
have these resources above me. If you want to learn how to eat healthy as a vegan, so many resources. There's even a simple little checklist from nutritionfacts.org called the
So,
Dailey Dozen.
so I get those sources are there, and I go back to that convenience thing.
Hunter, I don't think you understand the point that I'm trying to make is that you can't respect someone while using them without their consent.
So
You're
just
using the
let me
deer
finish.
without their consent for your pleasure, and all you can say is, I understand," and that's all you're saying. And I don't hear a
Let me prove
justification.
this point real quick. Let me prove this
Give
point
me
real
the
quick.
justification, or I'm going to kick you. I just want to know your justification.
Here's the justification. As
Okay.
long as vegans are still using it in their vehicles, their homes, and everything of that notion, I want to.
Hunter, you're just appealing to hypocrisy, and that's a fallacy, okay? It doesn't matter even if I am not vegan, the vegan argument is still legit. It is immoral to use someone without their consent, okay? And if you have an option to avoid that, you have the moral obligation to take the option that doesn't subject someone to exploitation. All right? You cannot respect someone and use them without their consent for your pleasure. Period. I understand you have a lifestyle. Veganism is not a lifestyle. It's a stance against exploitation. Come on up, Dakota. You got to be over 18. I know you're not in yet, but when you do log in. Uh-oh. Oh. Darn. Looks like it's not. Maybe if you step out. Oh, did it work? Dakota, you're there. I see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Are you over 18?
I'm 32.
Okay. So do you think that humans should respect animals?
I would like to know what the difference is between us.
Between animals and humans?
Yes.
I mean,
What
there's
makes
lots of.
me different than a lion?
Well, for one, they're carnivores and we're not carnivores.
No, that's
We're
not what I'm
also-
asking. I'm asking
we're moral patients.
you keep saying
We're moral
sentient.
agents.
Lions
Oh,
are pretty
no.
sentient.
Yeah.
So are a lot of other animals. Most animals are actually highly sentient.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Are you vegan?
no.
Oh,
But
okay.
I also don't hunt.
Okay.
But I would
Well, that's
if
good.
a friend invited me to go hunting, I would. But my
Okay,
point
so wait.
is
I
what
just
makes
want to
us
understand.
different than an animal? Any animal.
Well, do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Humans are moral agents, so we can weigh out right and wrong, and animals are moral patients, so we have an obligation to not exploit them at minimum because they're vulnerable to us.
So you're saying animals don't have morality?
I just don't think they have the luxury to actually use their morality. We've seen that they do have morality, some of them, or at least some of the times. but out in the wild, they can't really express morality because they're just surviving a harsh environment. Much like humans. Humans also,
let
don't
me
always
ask you
hold the
this
same
then.
standards when they live out in the wild.
Let me ask you this
Go
question.
ahead.
When a young lion decides he wants to run the I
Oh,
forget what it's
again,
called.
a lion is a moral patient, so just bear that in
But
mind.
but I mean, why would, if the leader of the pack isn't causing them harm, right? He's not. He's feeding everybody and he's doing his job. Why would the young lion then choose to do that? And then
I don't
he
know.
doesn't just kill the leader; he also will go and kill all the children, so that the
Okay,
women would
Dakota,
have
I
more
just
of a
want to
chance.
understand, is this an argument for you to use animals? Is a lion using animals?
Oh, that's just one example. The monkeys do it. All animals actually do it. We
Right.
do it. That's my point. Is I'm trying to show you that we are no different than an
Dakota.
animal.
Oh goodness, please hush. Hush. Okay. Um Animals are moral patients, meaning they're like children. Children sometimes have an idea of what's moral. They do things that are moral sometimes. Sometimes they do things that are not moral because they don't always understand morality. And so, just like children, they're moral patients, they deserve the moral obligation to not be exploited by moral agents. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Let me. I think I got one last question. That's it.
cool.
So, say you guys got exactly what you wanted, and humans on the whole planet. No, just listen. Humans on the whole planet didn't eat one single animal. We only ate vegetables. What do you
Vegetables.
think the world would become?
It would actually reduce its land use by 75%. We would feed over our population instead of letting some of our children starve. And we would have land to rewild. So we grow fewer plants, feed our population, and have a green planet that's absorbing the carbon that we used to output.
So you don't
Animals
think
wouldn't
that
be
the
used anymore.
animals would overrun the planet?
Of course
Just like
not.
they overran it back in the day before humans
They
overpopulated.
overran it back in the day. Interesting. Do you have
No,
evidence of that? Because I don't think that was the case.
you're saying that humans didn't extinct a lot of animals themselves.
Humans did extinct a lot of animals
Okay.
themselves, yes.
So my point is that the animals were roaming. So if we went back to that,
They
animals
weren't
would
overpopulating.
overpopulate the
Dakota,
planet.
I don't really want to talk to you anymore. You don't sound equipped for this conversation. You're not answering about your responsibilities. You're just talking about overpopulation or something. I don't know. Animals were not overpopulating until humans started meddling with the wild. We started invading their territory. We've done it so much now that most of our ag is encroaching on animal territory. It's always been, but it's really bad now because the animals are now wandering into our farms and we're killing them, going they're overpopulated when really they just have no place to go. And if we stopped animal ag, which is 83% of our current ag land use, we could reduce that to 25% and give back land to the animals. There wouldn't be an overpopulation problem because they would have room to live. Gasp. It's not okay to have a pet lizard if you bought them to be a pet. All right, Gasp. Are you over 18?
What?
Oh God, no. You are definitely not. Yeah. I don't really know where you were going. Maybe with I don't know. I don't know where you were going with the animals before, though. The wild animals. It's still, even hunting is immoral. If you're worried about overpopulation, why not consider other methods first? Why not use like birth control of some sort, or properly manage their habitat so that the balance is already there. They have the home. We could just maintain it. We could put our tax money to maintaining their home so that they don't overpopulate. They'll live within that comfort zone. Homeostasis. Oh yeah, if his friend invited him to go kill. I just don't really, there's no moral difference between us and animals. They literally feel the same pain. And if you know that you don't need to harm them, why are you doing that? Like, why are you subjecting them to the scariest experience they'll ever have? It's not fair. If I'm sure everyone in this chat has experienced some form of injustice and they hated it. And they were like, why me? And they wish that it hadn't happened to them. I'm sure everyone has had that. And then you go around saying like, no, me inflicting injustice on someone else is justified because I'm dominant, because they taste good. It's like, that's Jeffrey Dahmer thinking. That's literally what Jeffrey Dahmer thought. I don't care. My preferences are more important. The life of my victim is not that important. If it's not that important, why do we care about welfare at all? Welfare, right? Everyone says, oh, you shouldn't kick them before you take their life. You shouldn't abuse them because unnecessary harm is, an injustice. But taking their life for no reason, for some reason, doesn't cross that line. Like, nobody really makes sense on that. I've yet to hear a justification for using animals. Can you really respect someone and use them without their consent? Cross their bodily autonomy? Yes, we're all sentient. I do agree that we're animals. I do agree that there is no moral difference between us and animals. I do think they are moral patients. I don't think they have the luxury to take the time to be like, is it right that I do this? Sometimes we do see they do that. Like there was a study on mice where they gave them chocolate. They had a little spot, they had to open a box to get chocolate or open a box and save their friend. And most often they would open the box to save their friend and share the treats, which is very similar to humans. So they obviously can show morality. But when you're out in the wild, it's you're scared. You don't know what's a threat and what's not. So many, they're just always terrified and reacting on instinct. And whatever those instincts are that keep them going, they keep doing that instinct. Just because a lion goes out, lions do other things that we consider immoral. As you were saying, they will, as a leader, if they become the new leader, they want to be the leader of the pride, they'll wipe out all the cubs. A lot of animals, if their baby's too small, they'll leave them behind and let them starve to death. But we wouldn't say humans can do that because wild animals do that. We'd find that immoral. Animals are someone, they're a subject, having an experience and deciding, making preferences on those experiences. Do I like this? Do I like being comfortable? Isla, you got to be over 18.
I
Are
ex
you over
vegan.
18?
I ex
Oh my
vegan.
god. Oh my god. Child. Shouldn't you be in school or something? Oh, I guess it's going to be New Year soon. Maybe everyone's out. I don't have kids, so I don't know. It's so early. I guess I'm on the West Coast. It depends on where you are. Okay. Speed with Reed. You got to be over 18.
What's going on?
Hey, are you over 18?
30.
Perfect. Do you think humans should respect animals?
No.
No? Why not?
Because we're on the same chewing pole as them. We're food to them, a lot of them, and they're food to us. Do you grow your own vegetables?
Do you think that animal abuse, like kicking a dog, is okay?
Well, no, that's completely different.
Oh,
Completely
how?
different.
How?
Well, because one of them is neglect to something that we don't generally consider food, while the other one are huntable and resourceable.
Some people find dogs to be food.
Yeah, other countries, but
Okay, so why is it different for you?
because I don't live in China.
Okay, so what is it about a dog that makes them different from the other animals?
Well, our culture and us, I
So it's
guess
just culture, it's not about the individual?
we can. It's generally culture because what you're raised in.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, why do you
You
value
interrupted me.
a dog over any other animals that we use?
Again, I try to answer, but you interrupted me. Again, it's cultural primarily because it's what you're raised to believe and what you're used to. And two, I wouldn't recognize a dog or a cat as a sustainable nor an enjoyable meat.
Why? Just because you had it before?
I have had it before.
Okay. Well, just because, maybe your neighbors like it. Do you think it's moral for your neighbors to start raising dogs and slitting their throats?
I mean, that's on them. If they're
Yeah,
following
but
the law, that's on them.
I'm asking you, do you find that moral?
Again, though, that's the great thing about living in America is I don't impose my rights on other people
You're
based
you're you're deflecting again. I
I'm
want
not
you to
deflecting. I'm
tell
answering
me
the
your
question. I'm
moral
just not. You're
framework.
just
If
not
you
getting
don't
the answer
answer, I'm
that
just
you
gonna
want.
kick you because that's why I'm talking to people.
Because you're not getting the answer
Okay.
that you want. You want a black and white, but you're wrong.
Uh,
You're wrong. And do
I'm
you grow
not
your own
wrong.
vegetables?
You can't even answer my question.
I
No,
did
I
answer your
don't.
question.
No, I don't. If you go into crop deaths, you use animals that eat plants that increases crop deaths. Thank you for muting yourself. You have a great day. All right, Zippity. Are you
29.
over 18? Are you
Yep,
over
39.
18?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
How are you today,
So,
first?
I'm well.
Yes,
How are you?
good. People should respect animals because animals are just like humans, except for just in another body form because they have feelings and they have a soul. And right now, my cat's on my lap and she's all calm.
Oh, good. So are you vegan? Do you use animals?
I have a health condition where I have a slow metabolism, so I kind of have to gain weight. So I do eat meat due to a health condition.
Okay, well, there are ways to gain weight without using animals.
I know, but I'm a really picky eater.
Okay, so does your taste pleasure outweigh taking someone's whole life? Because you're taking someone's entire experience away just for your taste pleasure.
Hmm. I know what you mean, but every morning I eat eggs.
Do you know what happens to chickens?
Yes, they get
Oh, tell me.
unalive. Just they get unalive,
Shit.
get processed, and they get sent to a grocery store so people get bought.
Yeah, that does happen. Also, their brothers on day one get ground up alive in a blender.
Hmm.
When you buy a dozen eggs, each egg was dropped by one hen. Each of those hens had a brother that was ground up alive.
All right. Well, thank you for your
Yeah.
time. I'll let someone else in.
Well, let me ask you one last thing, Zippity, because you sound like a compassionate person.
Thank you.
How many animals do you want exploited on your behalf from now on?
I just it's gross to see animals get hurt because I love animals, and especially cats because I love cats.
Yeah. Can you give me a number of how many animals you want exploited for you until you go
You
vegan?
mean animals not to get hurt?
I mean animals to be used without their consent. So that means for their eggs, for their dairy, for their flesh, for their skin, for their fur, for their ability to feel pain and vivisection or to give you entertainment. Like, what's
Well, I
stopping
don't.
you from leaving this live and being vegan? I understand
Well,
you said you had a health condition. I have some resources above me. If you can screenshot the Challenge 22, you can talk to a dietitian. So they're
well, I
actually
do talk to a
trained.
dietitian. I'm gluten free.
Okay. Well, you can talk to your dietitian about being plant based because you can be plant based. You can gain
All
weight on
right.
a plant based diet. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
if you want zero animals to be exploited for you, the only way to do that is to be vegan, okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Well,
You have
thanks
a
for
good
coming
New
up.
Year's.
Yeah, you too. Okay. Come on up, Art. Let me know when you come in if you're over 18.
Greetings.
Are you over 8? Oh, go ahead.
I am 63,
Perfect.
and
Wonderful.
it's an interesting question. Should humans respect animals? Well, here's my point for me personally. I don't respect any animal I don't know. Same thing with humans. I don't respect humans I don't know because I don't know them. That's all I have to
Do
say.
you eat humans you don't know?
Does that answer your question that you have there?
Do you eat humans you don't know? Okay, Art. There might be a connection issue. You have a nice day. I don't know what was happening there. Pochettino? Are you
Hello?
over 18? Are you over
Yep.
18?
Yes.
Should
just had-
humans respect animals?
Yeah. I just had the question because, do you think being a vegetarian is as fine as being vegan? Just had a
No.
question. And why is that? Because I'm a vegetarian.
Vegetarians still exploit chickens and cows for their dairy and eggs.
But I still.
Vegetarianism is a diet, whereas veganism is a principled stance against animal exploitation. So it's not about abstaining from, diet stuff. It's about abstaining from things that use exploitation as a crucial ingredient.
But I still need animals for daily accessories, like
For what?
like your shirt, like wool, that kind of
Like
stuff.
shirt?
I still.
This
Yeah.
is cotton.
Now I'm saying my shirt, like just other
So
people's shirt.
wear cotton. Wear cotton. You don't
Well,
need to use animals. So when you have an option, picking the option that requires exploitation is immoral. You're demanding another individual go through that process to replace what you've purchased. It's called supply and demand.
Okay, but let's say like Thais. Wait, are Thais vegan? I'm pretty sure they're not vegan, right? So
Thais?
how would I drive my tires on cars? How would I
So
drive my car?
again, I just explained this. If you have a choice, so if you're getting new tires and they go, hey, we have these tires that use animals and these tires that do not, then I do think you have the moral obligation to choose tires that do not use animals. If you don't have the option and you need cars to drive around, yeah, I have a car. Yeah, it has tires. I don't know what brand they are. I'm sure I live in a house. There's sheetrock in the wall. But that doesn't justify me to go out and exploit more individuals and increase the demand for more individuals to be processed into the system. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you think?
So what justifies you making the choice to use animals for their dairy, their eggs, or their skins? What makes them still resources in your eyes?
Because it's obviously not good then, but it's still better than killing animals, no?
So why are you vegetarian?
Health benefits and my partner. That's why.
Just because your partner, you can't make decisions by yourself?
No, I just wanna eat the same food as her, because I spend most of my day with her, so
Okay.
I might as well eat the same food as her. That's really
Okay, so veganism is against seeing animals as a resource. So animals are sentient, just like you. That means that they're having an experience of the world, and of those, they're thinking about those experiences and weighing out if they enjoyed them or not. I prefer to be comfortable. I don't prefer to be uncomfortable. And if someone is having a subjective experience, that's kind of like why we have human rights, right? Someone is having an experience, that means we don't have the right to cross their bodily autonomy and violate them for our benefit. That's why we find slavery immoral, even of the most vulnerable people in our populations, right? We don't think if someone bumps their head and loses their intelligence that it's now moral to exploit them.
But I'm not a pig. I'm not a cow. I'm like there's a
What
big
is morally
difference
different between you? What's the moral difference?
I'm not a pig. That's the big
How?
difference. I'm
Tell
not
me
a
the
pig.
difference. How are you not a pig?
Cause I'm not a pig. Like
Do you want to actually talk, or?
yes, of course I
Okay,
do.
I don't want to talk to someone that's just being silly. Like, I know that you're
No,
physically not a pig.
I'm actually asking. Yeah.
Okay, so morally you are the same as a pig. You have the same nociceptors. Those are the nerve endings that send the signal that you're feeling excruciating pain. They have the same nerve endings. We've seen behavioral studies where they turn away from fear or pain or suffering, so we know that they want to live. They're making preferences. They're sentient. So what gives us the right to encroach on that? They're the same as us morally.
Because we have more power over them. That's why.
So if someone bigger than you came across and wanted to do something to you, you think that's moral because they're bigger and stronger?
Well, you should just be bigger than them. Like that's like
called
if you get
Mike's
bullied.
right. It's a fallacy. And if that were the case, we would have a lot of vulnerable people being exploited, wouldn't we? We find that immoral.
Yeah, well, let's say you get bullied, then just be bigger than
Do
the
you
bully.
find bullying to be moral? Do you think bullying is
No,
moral?
but
Okay, so then what
but
is
you
your
should.
argument? The point is, using animals, you are the bully. Using animals is being a bully. You're violating someone just because you're bigger and stronger than them, or you have some way to dominate them. That's immoral.
You be bigger than them then. It's not my issue that you're weak.
You're not
No?
listening. You can just leave them alone. Just like children, right? We find it immoral to exploit children. It's a moral obligation for us as moral patients or agents to not violate moral patients just because they're vulnerable.
So if a child starts doing immoral stuff, do you think we should leave them alone? No, you should, deal
If
with
a
them.
child is doing immoral stuff, so they're in our care and they're doing immoral things, I think we have the responsibility to correct them.
But you said leave them alone, so what are you saying?
Okay. For farmed animals, they are similar to children. I'm not suggesting we send them to the wild. I'm saying that we don't need to use them. Just don't use them. When you go to the store, don't purchase their products. Use plant-based products. You can leave them alone.
Okay, fair enough, but doesn't mean still being vegetarian still is like a bad step, like step by step and getting better,
The
no?
dairy industry is the beef industry, and you even just broke it down that the chickens still get processed into meat as well. They're the same industry, so you're just not maybe consuming their flesh, but you're still paying for their suffering and their use and their unaliving.
But don't cows, if they don't get their
You're
milk,
paying for
like,
slave labor, my man. I don't know how else to break it down to you. It doesn't matter which products that you specifically get from them, it's still slave labor products. You're demanding someone be exploited for your taste pleasure and your convenience because you don't want to go look at another product.
because I'm a busy man and I don't have time to be
There's
fully
easy
vegan.
alternatives. It takes like 20 minutes to figure it out. Does your inconvenience, do you think that you learning something like how to eat slightly different is harder than the animal walking into the slaughterhouse?
I can spend that 20 minutes on more important stuff, innit? So...
No. The animal's life matters much more. Yeah, I'm kind of done talking to you two. Convenience does not justify using someone. If you were walking down the street and there's a bird that's just constantly in your way, kicking the bird may be convenient, but that's immoral. If there was a person that's in the sidewalk, the moral thing is to walk around them, not to kick them, not to beat them to a pulp so that they're out of your way. That's not the moral thing to do. So convenience does not make morality, or does not make up for the immorality of an action. Plants are not sentient. They do not have a brain or a central nervous system. They cannot experience the world around them. They just react to stimuli. Devil's advocate. You got to be over 18.
I am.
Okay. Do you think humans should respect animals?
I do, but I don't think the fact that you have individuals, some religions and other things like that, they actually take a lot of pride in having respect for the animal. They say a prayer over their meals and do things of that nature. So I don't really agree with the moral viewpoint that you're taking on this. Are you saying that there are no animals that are harmed in the processing of crops and to get the vitamins and the things that you need?
Do you know what veganism is?
I do.
Oh, can you tell me? Just so we make sure we're on the same level.
It's your belief of that you have a moral superiority because you don't believe that animals should be used, that they're being taken advantage of.
Is that the definition? That's an interesting take. I've never heard that version. To principally be against the exploitation of sentient beings. So it's not that we're against self-defense. We're not against violence. We're against exploiting someone or harming them when you don't need to.
Okay. So like I said, so your argument is completely based off of you feeling that you're...
So I need to eat. And I think it's immoral to directly exploit someone, to force them into existence for your purpose, to force your purpose on them, someone who's having an experience of the world. You forcing your purpose on them is immoral. You crossing their bodily autonomy without their consent is immoral.
Okay. So
even if you say a prayer.
What about the animals that are killed in the process for you to maintain your veganism?
I just told you. So do you know what exploitation is? Exploitation is to use someone for your benefit. When we're protecting our crops, we're not breeding bugs and animals into existence to use them in the crop. They, on their own free volition, they come into our crops and start to eat them, which is a threat to our livelihood. I believe in self-defense. Self-defense is fine. Vegans believe you can defend yourself, and if need be, violence is fine, but it shouldn't be your first choice. I do disagree. I don't like that bugs are suffering from the nerve chemicals they put out there. I don't like that animals are burned when they burn the fields. But most of this is actually being done for animal feed. So if you're using animals, you're compounding the problem. So if you care about the crop deaths, you would be vegan anyway. So either way, you still be vegan. And yes, we should improve how crops are grown. I don't disagree, but I don't have those options available to me to choose.
There's multiple health issues that come from both vegetarian and vegan diets.
Okay, so if you want to be healthy, I do have resources. Anybody will be unhealthy if they're not eating what they need to on any diet. If they're not getting their vitamins on any diet, they will get sick, right? Doesn't matter if it's vegan, carnism, omnivore, whatever. If you're not eating all your nutrients. How much of the population
is vegan currently?
1 to 3%.
1 to 3%. So you imagine the amount of land that would have to be.
So the animals you use
that would die. The
animals.
I let you speak. So
the animals you use. I don't think you heard me though. The animals you use. You have to let me. If you unmute yourself again, I'm going to kick you. Well, you have a great day. If you can't control yourself, I don't want to talk to you. Look, the animals you use eat plants. Most of the crops we grow are fed to plants. The soy, the grains, the corn. It's mostly grown for animals. 83% of our current ag land is dedicated to raising animals for their flesh and their secretions and their food. If we stopped using animals, we would reduce our land use to 25%. We could rewild land. And with this 25%, we could feed our population and then some. while rewilding land. Do you see the benefits? All on plant food. Everyone would have sufficient calories and a variety of foods. We would have plenty of food. We feed 92.2 billion animals every year. Every year. There's only 8 billion humans. 92.2 billion mouths versus 8 billion, and we have some starving. And you're arguing to me that we can't feed the world? Yeah, to force someone into existence to be used for your purpose, that's immoral. If I was to have children, let's say, because I want to sell their hair for wigs, like that's the only reason why I'm having them. People would find that immoral. I would have my kids taken away from me. I keep them in pens, I feed them a little kibble every day. People would think that's abuse. Placed on Earth, we evolved together. They're here with us, not for us. And if you are here to tell me that your religion justifies it, no religion justifies crossing someone's bodily autonomy without their consent. I don't care what religion or culture it is. Americans had the culture of slavery. Does that justify it? Does that morally justify us continuing slavery? That's insane. Yeah, they weren't having an honest conversation. They weren't even really vegetarian. They're eating vegetarian for their partner, which they're still, I guess, vegetarian in that sense, but they're not vegetarian for the animals. Most vegetarians I come across, if they're genuinely, it's for their own purposes, it's usually because they don't want to hurt animals anymore. There is diet also involved, but I don't know. Usually if someone's a strict vegetarian, it is because they don't want to harm animals. They just don't know the whole story yet. And, I understand that change is scary. And I do get heated at these people when I should probably be a little more compassionate. But we're literally talking about life and death. We're literally talking about your choice to end someone's life. You're paying the slave owners. The slave owners are forcing their purpose on these animals for whatever. And you're paying them saying, yes, I like what you're doing. Keep it up. That's why I get heated. I understand to you it's just a thing on the shelf. Most people are very separated from what they consume. But I want to know, if you agree with me that using someone without their consent is immoral, why do you think it's okay to use animals? They're a subject having an experience of the world. They prefer to be comfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They want to keep living. They're just like you in that sense. Okay. CEA. You got to be over 18. Are you over 18? Are you over 18? Okay. I don't know what happened. Have a good day. Dylan. Are you over 18?
I am. I got 2 kids in the backseat as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you think humans should respect animals?
Personally, I am a meat eater. I will say that. I get, why people don't want to do it and everything. But at the end of the day, where I live, fresh fruits and vegetables and everything like that are hard to get a hold of. But meat is very easy to get a hold of.
Are you in the U.S.?
I am, but I am in a very rural area.
And you don't have access to fruits and vegetables? What about canned beans and rice?
I can get things like that, but
What about
it's usually this
frozen fruits and
prepackaged things
vegetables?
like bologna and stuff like that I can just eat while on the go.
What about fresh fruits and vegetables? Not fresh fruits, frozen fruits and vegetables.
Well, like I said, I work the hours I work. I'm mainly in my vehicle.
Okay.
12 plus hours a day.
You can still be vegan. Veganism is a mindset. It's about you think that animals, or not think, you understand the facts that animals are sentient, that they feel pain,
Yes.
they're in this world, and that because of that, they don't deserve to be, capital punishment. They don't deserve capital punishment, right? They don't deserve to have a knife drawn across their throat just for arbitrary reasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you had that mindset, you're going to look for what's available that you can eat alternatively. There's a lot of things you can do. There's even flour that you can wash to turn into gluten, to pull out the gluten to make seitan, which is a great protein source. And flour is usually pretty cheap. You can get cheap flour.
I am curious about what your opinion on things like vegan meat are and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious about that.
I mean, some of them are kind of expensive and some of them are cheap. I had to test out. There's some of them you don't like and some of them you do, just like any food item.
Personally, I just don't like that
So
how many ingredients are in them. The ingredient list is like a mile
yeah,
long.
I think that's a weird phobia because it's better to know what the things are. Because if you were to break down meat as a chemical, there's actually a ton of ingredients in there. A lot of them are carcinogenic, in fact. So it's kind of a mislead to be like this is just meat or this is just milk when really it's the same thing. It's a list of chemicals. But if you're worried about, you can eat a whole food plant-based diet. You don't need to eat any of the mock meats or any of the vegan meat stuff. The Challenge 22 that I have above me actually, right there. They actually have a dietitian you can talk to, and they focus on the area that you're in, so what's available to you, and whatever dietary needs that you specifically have. So it's a professional dietitian that, can help you in your area specifically. Obviously, I don't know where you're at and all the things that are available to
Well,
you.
I am heading to Alaska here in about a month or so and staying there for a while, and I know it's going to be very hard to get anything
Yeah.
vegetable
That would
based
be
there.
so I would reach out to the Challenge 22 people because they could even help you there. They can help you wherever you go.
I got to hop out of here. My phone's at like 2%. I don't have a charger, so.
Okay. Before you go, I just want you to think about how many animals do you want exploited and used for you, unnecessarily? How many more do you want?
Honestly, until I find some plant-based stuff that I like, I'll probably keep eating
Can you
meat.
give me a number?
Well, however it takes for me to keep eating steak, I guess. I hate to be that way, but
Have you seen Dominion?
I have not.
Okay, screenshot it so you can look at it. It's on YouTube. It's free. It's just a documentary. It has free range, grass-fed, the highest labels in there.
Alrighty, I'll take a look at it.
If you're willing to consume it and demand it, you should know what you're demanding.
Yep. I will take
Okay.
a look at that
All right,
when I get a
Dylan.
chance. Thank you.
Okay, if you do watch it, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. I do appreciate people being open-minded. If you don't know what animals go through, if you're just going off of podcasts and what you overhear on TV or something, I suggest you watch Dominion. Hey Lydia. It has standard practices and free-range organic, grass-fed, cage-free, all of them are in there. I went through it recently to make sure, and it covers everything. So if you don't know what goes on in the industry, please educate yourself. There is no way to exploit someone kindly. The sin of greed.
So
Hey, are you over 18?
I'm 25.
Okay. So do you think humans should respect animals?
No. You know how many
Why
bees
not?
are murdered every year to grow avocados?
Well, don't eat avocados.
Right,
Do you
but
care about the
tell
animals that you
tell all
directly
vegans
exploit?
to stop eating
Look,
them.
the sin,
Right.
are you here to just be a pissant or do you want to actually have a conversation?
You know how many animals are slaughtered to grow soy?
You know how much of the soy is fed to animals? 80%. You want to care about... Go ahead, Lydia. Sorry.
It's just he was going through the bingo list. I don't think he was here for a genuine convo.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys,
especially-
guess who is consuming more avocados and almonds than vegans? Omnivores. So.
Yep. Yeah, you don't need to eat avocados. And like she said, the most avocados are eaten by vegans. Oh, I think I fucked up my headphones there. Oh. We'll see if they still work. I might have muted myself. Sherman. Are you over 18?
Hello?
Are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
So I can hear you. Should humans respect animals?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Should humans respect animals?
What do you mean by that?
Do you think that using someone without their consent is respect?
Yes.
Okay. So I can use a human for any purpose I want, and that's moral? Without their consent?
Yeah, can you use me?
Okay. Well, you can go use yourself. I'll see you later. Gross. If you're not for human rights, I really don't want to talk to you. I think we can all agree that humans have inherent rights to not be exploited, not be used without our consent, to not be violated without our consent, you know, have our bodily autonomy crossed. Jasmine.
Hi.
Hi, are you over 18?
Yep, I was born the 29th of May 1994.
Beautiful. Do you think humans should respect animals?
Yes, and I'm vegan.
That is fantastic. I love meeting vegans out in the wild. So what made you go vegan?
Obviously watching Dairy Scary Dominion.
Yeah, Dairy Scary is a good one too. I like it. It's only 5 minutes. Or 10 minutes, something like that. Really short. What was the hardest thing for you to go vegan?
Obviously seeing all the animals get hurt, and it just hurt me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you coming up here, but I'm gonna probably move along. I just want to talk to non-vegans to try to change their minds. But
can I just say
please, yeah.
one thing? One thing that
I'm gonna give you a follow
say-
back.
Yeah, people say, "Oh, don't care about animals," but in other countries, say cats and dogs would go hell. It's the same thing in cat and dog and a chicken. People say it's not different. Same the animal. There's no difference between a cat and a dog. They're still animals.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, we go. And
Yep.
thanks for pulling me back. Really appreciate and grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like maybe hit me a DM. Maybe I just want to get to know the vegans that I usually bring up because there's so many different types of vegans. So I like to just chat with them because I'd love to have you on my panel if you're, if we're of like mind.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming up.
Okay, you're most welcome. Take care. Bye.
See ya. Bye. Oh, there we go. Okay, guys. Agreed. Okay. Never mind. I could have left you up here. I'm sorry. The vegan. I don't even remember what your name was. It was I just said it. Are you still here? Jasmine. That's what it was. Jasmine. Appreciate you coming up, Jasmine. I could have left you up here longer. I didn't realize it was just the sin of greed. I don't want to talk to people that are disingenuous. I only want to talk to genuine people. I had a good metaphor given to me a while ago. Her name is Carrie on YouTube. But she made a good point. I'm here digging for diamonds, and there's going to be a lot of rocks. And a lot of you people trying to stand in the way of the rights of the animals are rocks. So I'm just tossing you aside. I'll interact with you just to make, an example of you. Most non-vegans, at least when I was non-vegan, I wasn't the type to approach vegans if they were like putting up a message. I would just kind of hang back and watch. And I gotta say, a lot of the non-vegans that come up look ridiculous. You sound angry. You sound, like you're desperate to hold on to your tasties. You're not logical. I'm not a hypocrite. And even if I was, it doesn't change the argument for veganism. It is immoral to use someone without their consent. Just because I drive a car and I live in a house, that doesn't give me the right to go out and exploit more individuals just because some things just are built with it in there, unfortunately. I can make a stink about that. If I get a house and I can choose what goes in the wall, I will absolutely advocate for a vegan alternative or whatever there's available. I don't even know what's available for sheetrock and tires, but I haven't had that option given to me to choose. I understand that we have speciesist definitions of personhood. It's just strictly human, but what is the difference between humans and animals? Other than that humans, for the most part, are moral agents, and animals and vulnerable humans are moral patients. And again, like, that doesn't even separate us by species. Fish are sentient too, they also feel pain, and they have friends and hierarchies, they have memories, they do make, bonds with individuals and remember faces. They suffer when they're taken out of the water, just as you would if you were pushed into the water. Yes, Fiber King, you're absolutely right. People that are worried about human rights, if you care, truly care about human rights, you would also be vegan, as humans are exploited in the animal, ag, and the slaughterhouse, all the way from the beginning to the end. So I eat, like, for example, in the mornings, I eat oatmeal with whatever fruit I have, usually an apple, sometimes blueberries, with cinnamon, some hemp, flaxseed, and oat milk, and then and walnuts. And then I'll have a fruit smoothie, which is usually frozen berries, whatever I have, usually strawberries or blueberries, with like half a lemon in there, and I'll add some vanilla and some dates for sweetness. And then dinner rolls around, and that is whatever's in the fridge again, usually a couple vegetables with a pasta or rice, with beans, tempeh, or tofu. I don't eat avocados, but even if I did, animals eat more plants than any human would. So your argument is silly. Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Vegans don't say, don't protect the crops. They say improve how you protect the crops, but it's not like I have options in the store that say made with pesticides, made without pesticides. Even organic use organic pesticides of some sort. They're still protecting the fields. And so I don't really have an option to be like the vegan plant option, right? I can do that as far as like animal products. I can abstain as much as I possibly can from animal products. I can do that. You can do that. Yeah, fungi are not sentient. Again, they do not have a central nervous system. They can't process their experiences. They can just send signals. Thanks. You can be vegan, Gooby. If you're worried, so Challenge 22 is such a great resource. I want everyone to take advantage of it that isn't vegan. It literally gives you a community of people that are in the same position as you. So you're in a group with people that are new to veganism. You can ask them questions and talk about your struggles. You can talk to a professional dietitian for free to make sure you're getting all your needed nutrients. I can't dictate sentience. Still topic. Animals are sentient. Plants are not sentient. Yes,
Yeah,
that can change.
there is a scientific consensus. There is a scientific consensus on sentience, and it really takes minimal effort to go educate yourself on what sentience is before coming to the comment section and making claims about it.
Yeah. I don't want to talk to you, Senator. Lydia, if you want to talk to him, you're welcome to. I just don't care to talk to him. I had him up here earlier. I don't remember what his argument was now, but I just remember him being disingenuous.
I'm not sure if it's worth it because he was just going through the bingo cards and he wasn't
exactly listening. 2015 study proven plants are sentient. Well, Rayan, I would love for you to share the title of that study. I will look it up. Or you can send it to me in a private message even, because I would absolutely love to have that research. As far as I'm aware, there's the debunking a myth, plant sentience, or plant consciousness, excuse me. And that goes through the last 50 years of plant sentience. And they found that all the studies that had a conclusion that plants might be sentient, those were not repeatable. All the ones that show that plants are not sentient were repeatable. That means that it's reliable science. Reliable science is repeatable, falsifiable, peer-reviewed. For not holding others... You mean you? I'm not holding you accountable enough? Like, how many animals do you want exploited in your name? No, you're just disingenuous. I don't want to talk to people that are just trying to go through the cue cards or the bingo cards, you know? I want to talk to somebody that actually sees animals as sentient, that they're like, yeah, you know what? I look at my dog. I love my dog. I would never eat my dog. Even some people are even like, I wouldn't eat my dog to save my own life. A lot of people feel that way because they recognize the sentience in their dog. Their dog has preferences, doesn't want to be harmed. They prefer to be comfortable, you know? You're not being honest. That's what I see disingenuous as. You're not being honest. You're just up here trying to beat me instead of considering what you're arguing for. You're arguing for animals to be enslaved and used and their bodily autonomy violated for your pleasure. And I'm telling you, it's not necessary for you to do it. A lot of people think they need to consume animals, but they don't. They have so many alternatives. They just don't ever look for them because they're not in the mindset to recognize animal sentience. They just see a product on the shelf and they go, oh, it's just a thing for me to use. So we're so separated. All points in the matter. It doesn't, just because you're saying you're valid, that you as an individual, as a human, yes, you're a valid individual that's existing, but your point is not valid. We are culturally intertwined with using animals, I agree, but that doesn't make it moral. And if you recognize that something's immoral, you have an obligation to not do it. You know, you're going against your own principles. You know, you should think of it, would you tolerate being treated the way we treat animals for someone else's taste pleasure? Would you tolerate not having your consent considered? Someone choosing when you get pregnant, choosing when you get off because they literally jack off bulls and pigs, choosing when you have babies, choosing when you die for you. Would any of that be moral? See, you're just pivoting. That's all you do because you make people stay in your narrative. Your comments don't make sense. You're not responding to what I'm saying. You're literally like being kind of meta. You're like stepping outside of the argument. You're not talking about the topic at hand, which is animal rights. If humans should respect animals, how can you respect someone by using them without their consent? By crossing their bodily autonomy without their consent? Of course, in survival mode, you can justify a lot of things. If I was out on a desert island with a baby, I could justify using that baby for me to survive. It wouldn't be moral, but it would be justified in that I was using it to survive. Yes, I understand that you're using a speciesist definition of personhood. They're still an individual. They're still a subject having an experience of the world and, you know, thinking about those experiences and deciding if they like them or not. I prefer to be comfortable. I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't like pain. I prefer, you know, cuddles or whatever they prefer. They all have their unique preferences. That's what makes them an individual. To not call them a person is just speciesist. You know, there was a time when a person wasn't even a woman or a black person or any person of color, really. There was a time when definitions needed to be updated, and that's still happening today. You don't need to take a bunch of pills, and there's nothing wrong with taking a supplement if you need to. There's nothing wrong with that. I do suggest that vegans, honestly, everybody should be taking a B12. Even non-vegans should be taking a B12. A lot of the animals don't get B12 in their own diet. They are supplemented. It's either put in their feed or they supplement the grass that they're grazing on with cobalt. So it's like, cut out the middleman. Just take the fucking supplement yourself. It's so selfish to filter it through someone's body and then unalive them. Okay. You're still, I'm just going to call you You're Still because you have a long name. You're still not interesting.
What up?
Are you over 18?
Yeah.
Okay. So should humans respect animals?
Well, I come from a different standard.
Oh, well, can you answer my question and then you can move on with what you're going to say? Should humans respect animals?
Yeah, to a certain degree, yeah.
Like what, to what degree?
Well, if you got an allergy like me, yeah, you can't.
Can't what?
Can't respect them.
Why not?
You have my allergy.
What's your allergy?
To all fruit. Allergic to all fruit
Okay.
and all vegetables.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, it is. It's called friggin'
You have an allergy to information.
No.
Yes.
I actually do. Look it up.
I don't believe you. Look,
It's
if
called,
you're being honest, I don't believe you.
I
But
am.
if you're being honest, hold on. If you wanted to go vegan, you can still go vegan. Do
No,
you
I
want to
can't.
go vegan? Do
No,
you
I
want to go
can't.
vegan?
It'll kill me.
So
It'll
let's
kill
say
me
you
if
didn't
I go
have,
vegan.
stop. Let's say you didn't have your allergy. Do you think it's a moral obligation for you to go vegan?
What if everybody had my allergy?
You're not answering my question. Let's say you
It's
didn't
the
have your
same.
allergy. Will you answer my question or do I need to kick you and move on?
Yeah, I'll answer.
Do you think if you didn't have your allergy, it would be a moral obligation for you to live vegan?
That just depends on my mindset.
So exactly, it is your mindset. Veganism is about recognizing animals are sentient. If you don't recognize them as sentient, you're going to see them as an object and you're going to use them as a resource, just much like white people did to people of color. They demeaned them into an object instead of as a living being that they are. And I'm trying to wake you up out of that to tell you these animals are sentient, they're alive. Okay, all right. So if they feel pain and can feel joy, what gives you the right? Okay, what gives you the right then to force your purpose on them if you don't have to?
It's not the fact that I don't have to, it's the fact that I have to.
All right, I'm asking you in the scenario of you not having your allergies, do you find it to be a moral obligation to live vegan?
A vegetarian, maybe.
So why do you think cows and
Because
chickens it's
animal
okay to
protein-
use them?
Animal protein still, you have to have it.
So
I mean, it
I'm
develops
living
your
proof you
brain.
don't. I've been vegan 8 years. There's
It's
the
what
Academy
helps
of
develop your brain.
hold on. I understand that our ancestors did it, but we have science today. And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the largest body of nutrition professionals, agree that a vegan diet is safe and healthy for all stages of life. So it doesn't matter what we did in the past. It doesn't matter what happened. It's fine that we look at the past to learn from it. We don't have to mimic it, though.
Yeah, but I think I'd rather mimic, really.
You're taking someone's entire existence. Like, what gives you the right to do that?
It's not someone. It's another animal. Different speciation.
What gives you the right to violate an individual's bodily autonomy for your pleasure?
Well, for one, I think it comes down to your morals are different than mine.
Okay, but do you agree that if someone came along and decided they're bigger and stronger than you, and they wanted to use you for their purposes without your consent, Do you find that moral?
Well, I'd fight them. I mean,
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking you. Do you find it moral?
And I kind of own a gun, so yeah, they can try.
Doesn't matter. They can do what they want to you. They've dominated you. Do you find that moral?
Just depends.
I'm going to assume no, because you're telling me you would defend yourself and you would try to stop it. So
Yeah, just
you
like an
clearly
animal.
don't want it to happen.
An animal tries.
So that's the same thing. Why, if you were that victim, right? You even told me you would try to stop it. You would pull out a gun. So why are you doing that to animals who cannot defend themselves?
Because I kind of have to.
You don't, but I'm trying to make you recognize that you don't need to cause harm. Like, causing harm to someone when you don't need to is horrible.
That's my disorder.
It's immoral.
Oh, yes.
If you wanted to stop doing that, you would be jumping for joy that I have these resources above me. If you don't want to harm animals, you'll go to Challenge 22 and talk to a dietitian. They'll help you with your specific allergies based on your location.
It's called OAS. I would recommend looking it up. For real.
I will look it up. I'm always interested in new information.
Yeah.
But I'm not a professional. I'm a TikToker.
Yeah.
And there's still no reason to
But
yeah. So that's why I have these resources, so you can actually talk to professionals about being healthy. Because veganism is not about being healthy. It's a principled.
Tell me what was wrong.
Okay, but veganism is it's a principled stance against exploitation. Just like the abolitionists in the 1800s against slavery. They were against slavery. They were speaking out against slavery. I understand that people relied on the goods that came from slavery. Slavery was still immoral. So if this is a true allergy that you have, you using animals is still immoral. And you should be speaking out for that. You should be like, this is an injustice that I don't have access to things that make me, I have to violate my principles to live. That should upset you. That should make you uncomfortable.
Completely different than where everybody else.
So you don't think? Let me get this straight. Let's
care
rewind
about
to
myself more than anything else.
I understand. Let's say we go back to like the 1800s. Do you think that people should have defended slave goods if they relied on them? They should have defended slavery because they relied on it.
Kind of rely on them today too. That's your whole fight.
Right, but we find that immoral to support it, right? If you find out something has slavery, you're not morally, you shouldn't use it.
Was it immoral when it happened?
It was immoral then too, yes. Ask the slaves, did they want to be enslaved? Did they find it moral? I'm going to guess no. They didn't want to be used. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter that people relied on it. It didn't matter. It was still immoral. It brought down the price of goods. It made goods more available to those that didn't have them before. Slavery, still immoral. I understand that people back then may have been like actually forced to use slaved goods because that was all that was available to them. But they probably weren't standing in the street going, I have an excuse to exploit humans. I have no other resources. They wouldn't have stood out there defending it. And if they did, they were then also racist. They were defending exploiting someone for their benefit. Do you see the difference? A vegan, if they had to use exploitation, they're going to make it as minimal as possible, and they're going to be damn sure they're going to find that alternative. There's a difference. It's a difference to you holding onto your crutch, being like, oh, I have an excuse, so I never have to change. Like, you need to change. Your diaper is full. Joby, you got to be over 18.
I'm 20.
Okay. Do you think humans should use animals? Or excuse me, do you think humans should respect animals? I mean, it's the same thing, but
Yeah, I think respect them, yeah. But I have a question. If like, because I'm not as educated, but I'm curious. Say like a wolf can kill a rabbit for its benefit, and all lives are the same, then why can't we do that to like cows and chickens and stuff?
Sure. So humans, you and I, we're moral agents. We understand morality a little bit. We can weigh out what's right and wrong. Animals don't really have that luxury. They may have some capacity or some idea, like children. They might have some idea of what is moral, but they don't fully understand morals, and they can't always use their morality because they're surviving a harsh environment. Humans, we have time, we have luxury to weigh out rights and wrongs. We can choose to not cause harm or to not exploit someone. We can choose to not use someone without their consent because we know that it's wrong, because we don't want it done to us.
That's true. So you say like you shouldn't end an animal's life just for food purposes, and we can get it out of like plants and stuff. But what if, like, say there was a farm and they only utilize cows that like have passed away naturally? Would that be okay? Would you still?
They're still being bred, which is a problem because that involves graping a cow, both male and female, either through AI or forcing them together in a pen. So there's a problem with that, forcing someone into existence just to be used. But let's say somehow this is like a sanctuary or something, right? They've been rescued, and they're not being used in any other fashion, and they die of whatever natural causes. Most people will argue if an animal passes away from not being killed, typically unsafe to consume. Morally speaking, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Practically speaking, the world farms don't do that because it's too expensive, for one, and two, the flesh gets not as appetizing as just like humans. We all get more tough and a little more gamey, whereas when they're younger, they have we're more juicy and tender, and just like I said, human babies would be the same as animals. So that's why they don't let them grow to old age.
Okay, gotcha. That was just my two questions.
Sure. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you use animal products?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And do you know what veganism is?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what you think veganism is.
Basically just eating plants and things that aren't, like, no milk, nothing coming from an animal, no cheese, no nothing.
That is kind of our diet, but do you know why, like, someone who calls themselves vegan, do you know why they would have that diet?
Just because, like, they want to save the lives of animals, I guess.
I mean, it's sort of saving them. It's just being a principled stance against exploitation. So it'd be like being against slavery. I don't want someone to be used without their consent. Animals are, even though I know the definition in our dictionaries say human, they are a sentient being that is having a subjective experience of the world. And we have children and other humans that actually are a similar cognitive level as the animals we use. The animals we use are actually quite intelligent. And so I am trying to ask people, what to them justifies their use of animals when they're quite similar to us.
Say that one more time at the end.
What justifies using the animals that we use? What justifies using them when we don't have to?
I think it's just for convenience, mostly. It's more like, it's easier to access, I guess.
Okay. Do you think that you can respect animals? Because you said earlier we should respect animals. Do you think you can respect them while using them without their consent?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I guess then that just leaves me with asking you, how many animals do you want to have exploited for you from now on?
Sorry, my boyfriend's in the back. I mean, like, morally, I understand it's not really the right thing to do, but
Well, would you want to be exploited?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
But I'm also,
Why?
like, I don't know, it's like the last guy was saying, like, cavemen.
Would it be because you want to be free to do what you want to do? You don't want someone to put their purpose on you?
Hey, I came up here to ask a couple questions to see your side, and I didn't come up here rude, so it feels like you're being kind of condescending, so.
Oh, no, I'm just asking you questions. This is literally just asking you questions about your morality.
Oh, well, those were my only two questions, but.
Sure. I just was curious what justifies you using animals.
So you're getting triggered. I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Thanks for answering my questions.
I'm not triggered, but I do appreciate you coming up. I understand that you don't want to answer the question because it's too uncomfortable. You would have to admit that you're paying for animal abuse when you don't need to, and I get that that's embarrassing to do on a live. So if you want to talk about triggered, talk about you're running away. All right. Holiday Inn. Are you over 18?
I'm
Are you over
19.
18? You're 19?
I said I'm 19. Yeah.
Okay. Should humans
Yeah, I'm
respect
19. Yeah,
animals?
sorry.
Should humans
Yeah,
respect
suppose I've
animals?
got. Yeah,
Okay,
sure. I've got
so
a question.
do you use animal products?
Probably. I haven't in a few days. Why?
Do you think you can respect someone while using them without their consent?
Well, I've stopped doing that actually recently, but I had a few questions for you.
You stopped
Um,
using animals?
yeah, I've ate plant-based meals the past 2 days. Yeah.
Nice, that's fantastic. Good job.
Yeah, but I did have a question for you. Are all animals sentient?
I would say there's a large majority, like 99.9%.
Yeah, no,
It's
'cause I know
not a
jellyfish aren't
scientific number,
sentient.
but
Yeah, no, I know
there's things that
jellyfish
are
and stuff like
gray. There's some insects, there's mussels, I guess, and coral. But I err on the side of caution because they still have a nervous system. So to me, that's enough to leave them alone. I don't need to use them.
Yeah, well, I'd say jellyfish don't. I don't think they have a nervous system or anything like that at all. I
Sure,
think
but like, what do you need from jellyfish that you can't just get from plants?
well, no, it's not that, but you can still eat
Like,
them.
why are you looking for a loophole to use animals? What's the point?
Did I say I was looking for a loophole? No, I was just asking a few questions.
But you are by going through the
I'm
different
not
animals.
looking for a loophole if I've not animal
Why are you
products in the
talking about
last few days.
jellyfish then? Why are you talking about jellyfish?
What up an interesting point. I thought vegans like talking about interesting points, but it turns out you don't. You just like shouting at people. Okay. I got another point up. I got another point.
I don't really want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to talk to rude people. Frank. It's my live, guys. I don't have any laws. I mean, I got TikTok laws, but I don't go like off of democracy on kicking people or not. Like, if you're rude to me, I'm just going to kick you. Doesn't matter. You don't have rights to come up here and talk on my live. You can go start your own live. I'm sorry, Frank. Are you over 18?
I am, yes.
Beautiful. Do you think humans should respect animals?
I do, yes. I have to preface with a question real quick.
Okay.
What is your viewpoint on life in general as far as things being alive and inanimate?
Are we still talking about like the last guy? Like jellyfish and stuff?
No. Well, it goes further than that, honestly, because
like bacteria or something?
like I think a sentient being should respect anything that's alive that's not inanimate.
I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. Respect all life. But what morally matters is sentience. Like, I'm not advertising for people to go out and just destroy plants, but I don't really care because plants don't actually suffer. Animals, on the other hand, do suffer. They feel pain. We know they do. They have nociceptors, which are the nerve ending, the same one we have when we feel pain.
Mm-hmm.
We see behavioral studies. They avoid fear and pain. They want to live. They have friends and families and hierarchies, so they have memories and they make bonds with other individuals. So we're very similar.
I agree. I'm also going to ask, how do you feel about conservation as it relates to? I will put hunting in there for conservation reasons, but hunting when it comes to population control. And before you answer, I'm also going to put this in there. Have you heard of Yellowstone and the introduction of wolves that completely rearranged and fixed their
this has
natural habitat?
nothing to do with veganism, just to be clear. This has nothing to do with your choices, going to a grocery store, moving your hand, avoiding hunting. This has nothing to do with you. Hunting shouldn't even be done by regular people because there's something called human error to begin with. And second of all, most humans are not trained in any fashion. They just go out there with their gun, or whatever tools they have. And I think that's just terrifying. If we were to use hunting as a form of population control. It should be, first of all, the last resort, and second of all, should be done by pure professionals that are trained on how to do it the best, most humane way. But what's happening is instead it's an entertainment. It's something for people to do for fun with their kids, is to go out and murder life in the forest.
You know, I worked a job recently in a corporate environment where there's a lot of wealthy people that were coming through. Before this happened, I would not have agreed with you on the topic of conservation, because as a biologist, you know, I study these things. I look at these things, and when these very wealthy individuals came through and they were going on a helicopter hunt for pigs here in Texas, and they were bragging about, yeah, you know, I've got this and this equipped on my gun, like we're just going to spray into the herd. I don't like that. Like, if you're going to hunt and eat the animal, I fully agree with being able to do that, because they're not in cages, they're getting to live. You're selective with what you hunt, you know, to keep that herd alive.
See, but
And
you're
you're
still
taking
seeing
that,
them as a resource. That's the problem. They're not a resource for you. If you're doing
but
something
they
in their
are.
best interest, it shouldn't be for your benefit.
They are still a resource, though.
They're not, though. They're sentient beings. A human can be a resource, but it's immoral to use a human because they're a subject having their own, you know, unique experience of the world. And for you to put your purpose on that person is wrong. So for you to do the same thing to an animal, because they're not morally different. They're maybe not as intelligent. They look different. That's it. Like, there's no moral reason to do it to animals. It's just that we can dominate them. That's literally the only reason we do it. And if you are worried about conservation, a plant-based world uses 75% less land. So we wouldn't have issues of overpopulation because they'd have room. We would rewild land.
The human body doesn't do great with a plant-based
It
diet.
does. I have resources that prove it right here, right above. You can take a screenshot if you don't believe me.
Well, no, I know.
Challenge 22. Okay, so
That's
you can be absolutely healthy on a plant-based diet. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the largest body of nutrition professionals, agree a vegan diet is safe and healthy for all stages of life, including pregnancy, infancy,
so
old age.
as a baby, right? You couldn't feed a baby a plant-based diet.
I just said infancy and nursing and pregnancy. All of that is safe for a vegan diet.
No, like, you couldn't feed a newborn infant a plant-based diet and them survive. They
Why
would have to
not?
drink milk.
Why not? They can drink either their mother's milk or there's plant-based alternatives for feeding them in a bottle.
Are those linked
So
above as
no.
well?
Well, of course I don't have everything. Challenge 22. You talk to a real dietitian, a person that's professional, for free. Challenge 22. So it's the top one on this side. Oops, sorry, this side. I have it mirrored so you can read my shirt. Can't really see my hand though. Challenge 22, that one right there. You can talk to an actual dietitian. They'll make meal plans with you based on your location. And you can ask them about babies. Or you can go to the one right below it is nutritionfacts.org. They actually have all the studies listed out, and they make videos breaking down the nutrition of all the things, like what makes something healthy.
I tell you what, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to follow you, and then I'll come back after I've done the research and talk to them, and then have another
All right,
conversation.
yeah, I would love that. Yeah, and if you get a chance, watch Dominion too. That one's more about the why. But Challenge 22 is a great resource for the how.
Okay, nice talking to you.
All right, Frank, well, you have a good day.
You too.
Thanks. Sorry if you guys wanted to say something, but if you want to add in something, I don't know, or if you just want to chill.
I was going to say that there are many families and mothers that are on a fully plant-based diet and they do just fine. I do have a 2-year-old son, and his growth percentile is almost, I think it's like at the 99th percentile. He's been that way ever since he started breastfeeding. And I breastfed him for almost 2.5 years. So yeah, if you eat well on a plant-based diet, you have everything you need to sustain not only pregnancy, but also breastfeeding.
Yeah. Awesome. Let me bring someone up. All right, random stuff. Got to be over 18. Are you over 18? Oh, all right. Wolfie. Are you over 18?
I meat.
Oh, good for you. You should eat vegan meat. And that meat that you're consuming is someone's muscle. Like, it's literally someone's muscle. All right, Sea Dog. Are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 23. I was born in 2001.
Okay, right on. Should humans respect animals?
I definitely think that humans should respect animals.
Do
But
you use animals? Do you buy their products?
oh yeah, I have a little farm, so but I
Okay, so
respect
do
the
you
animals
think
in
that
my
you can
farm.
respect them while using them without their consent?
I think that there's definitely ways that you can treat animals well while using their products.
Can you tell me how you can use someone without their consent morally?
So I'll say my chickens. I give them free reign to run pretty much.
Where'd you get them?
Tractor Supply. It's really the only place I can get chickens. So
Do you know what happens in hatcheries?
yes, I do know what happens in hatcheries, and it's
Go ahead and tell me.
so they inseminate the mother, and then they try to get as many eggs out of the mother as possible. Birthing process, and then they steal the chickens from the mother, and then put them in the
Where are all
tractor.
the males?
If I'm not incorrect, I think they're chemically assimilated. If I'm not incorrect.
Some are gassed. Most of them are ground alive in a blender. Some are just tied off in a bag. Some are crushed. Most of the time, though, they're ground up in a blender. That's the humane way to dispose of them. And for every female egg-laying hen, she had a brother that was ground up, because that's just how evolution works. For every male, there's going to be a female born.
Yeah.
So for every female egg-laying hen, there was a male ground up alive. So that's just, and you already broke down, yes, they do. It's not necessarily that they inseminate the chickens. Usually they'll have them in a barn with males to grape them whenever they want. And sometimes the males will pile on them and they'll grape them into their own feces. And, to make anybody, even in good conditions, force mate is immoral, just to begin with. So now you have purchased these chickens and you've created a demand for another set of lives to be forced into existence to be purchased. So that's the first part of your exploitation. It's not humane. And then on top of that, you're now using them for either both or either their eggs, flesh.
Just eggs. I let my chickens die out when they're old. I don't use them for flesh.
So the issue with that is they were bred from the red jungle fowl, who used to lay like maybe 13 to 15 eggs a year, only in part of the year during the mating season.
Yeah.
Now they lay probably an egg a day.
Mine, I haven't, because now it's not mating season, so I'm not getting any eggs at this point. But I just have.
You're not getting any eggs. You're getting 0 eggs.
Well, yeah, because usually when you get eggs is around the springtime to
So
end
you don't
summer.
have chickens.
What?
The chickens lay eggs like every day.
That's incorrect. Around wintertime, they stop laying eggs.
Lydia, can you tell him your experience? Or maybe I'm wrong. Lydia had her own farm.
About chickens? What detail is he saying that's wrong?
Oh, he's saying that his chickens only have eggs during the mating season. And I was like, I'm pretty sure most chickens have an egg a day.
Really, they reduce laying perhaps during like the winter months, but
But they don't stop, do they?
I mean, sometimes they do completely, but it just really depends. I mean, some farmers put in
then I learned
lights.
something.
Yeah, sometimes farmers put in lights in their huts and stuff to like replicate abnormal like light levels to keep them producing. But usually they do kind of have an off season during the winter. They just slow down a lot. But that being said, a lot of these chickens are so genetically pushed to lay so many eggs per year. Some of them don't really ever stop. It really just depends on the breed.
Yeah, the breeds of chicken that I have, they basically stop. I have a heat lamp in their chicken coop, but I don't set up lights to make it seem like a spring or summertime, so they reduce.
It's still exploitation. You're just doing it in a kinder way. You're still exploiting them. You're still using them. It's just kind of like how slave owners, some of them would treat their slaves better than others. That was just a fact. Some people treated their slaves better than others, and that was even a label they would put on their products. So it's still exploitation, still immoral that you're using someone. If anything, if you cared about their best interests, you would put effort into reducing how many eggs they produce so that they don't produce so many, because it takes so much nutrients out of their bodies when they do. And you would also, you wouldn't purchase more chickens. If anything, maybe you rescue them, but you wouldn't purchase more as you're creating that demand to make more beings into existence for you to just use.
So you said somebody, and you're comparing a chicken to a human being.
I understand that you're a speciesist and you're going to stick with your speciesist definition of person, but they're still an individual having a subjective experience. So that doesn't give you, just because they're not human, they're still a sentient being. To me, they're a someone, because a someone is a subject having an experience in a body. They just have a different shaped body.
But
so you're using an individual that is sentient and has preferences, and you're not considering them morally for your benefit. You're just breeding. Let me put it this way. Let's say you were bred into existence to be used for whatever, your hair, your toenails, your poop, something, okay? But you have to live in this coop, and, that's what you were born for. So live in this coop and to poop and provide hair. And you only have your one space, and you die, I guess for you, you don't kill them, but that's just their existence, it's just to reduce for you. Do you think that's moral, to keep breeding humans to use you and your family or whatever for your resources without your consent considered?
But hasn't this happened in the animal kingdom since the beginning of the animal kingdom?
Yeah, but that doesn't justify your actions. You're a moral agent. You have the time to weigh out rights and wrongs.
And they
so
can't.
Since you have that comes with the responsibility to not exploit and take advantage of those that are vulnerable to you.
But can a cow weigh an out right and wrong?
No, that's what makes them a moral patient. And they do actually have some morality. I don't actually want to throw them. Yeah, they're very smart. They're similar to like a 4-year-old. Kids also understand somewhat of morality. They're still moral patients, so they don't fully understand morality. That's what makes them moral patients, just like animals. They might have some morality, but they don't fully understand it.
Okay, so the prompt is, should humans respect animals? What is your...
Well, so how can you respect someone and use them without their consent? The eggs that come from those chickens are not yours. They're theirs. And just because they were manipulated to produce so many, that doesn't mean that they're yours. So what you should do is try to help them not produce eggs, give the eggs back to them, and not see them as a resource. Just like I shouldn't see children as a resource.
Don't chickens lay eggs naturally if they're in a chicken?
Yeah, I just explained to you though, their ancestor laid eggs very rarely, typically only if they were fertilized. Even, they didn't just constantly lay unfertilized eggs. So we took that trait and we manipulated them to constantly lay unfertilized eggs, which takes a lot of nutrients out of their body. So we have to feed them that nutrients. So it's better if you just give it back to them and let them keep what's theirs. Especially because we've handicapped them by breeding them to be the way they are. Before we touched them, they were fine out in nature. They were doing their thing. But we messed them up. So now we need to fix it. You need to not keep, taking eggs from them. The more you take the eggs, the more they want to fill their clutch.
So with the problem of overpopulation, what is your
So you just called it. You even said it about the chickens, even though I don't think they do it commonly with chickens. They do it with turkeys, cows, pigs. I don't think they do it with sheep, but they do it with a lot of animals. The AI. We use AI because it's more successful than two animals coming together. So that means we're making them overproduce already. We're making them come together. But another thing that I just brought up is many of them can't even mate because they're too large. Their bodies are too encumbered from the way we've mutated them. They can't even naturally mate, many of them. I've been told by farmers they use AI on cows because the bulls are too heavy. Turkeys literally can't even get on top of their mates. So we wouldn't release them into the wild either. If anything, it would be a slow decrease of people not breeding animals into existence.
So, like Carol said in the comment, what about health conditions that require animal meat? Because there are health conditions that can't eat plants.
I'm talking to you though, Sea Dog. Do you have health conditions that prevent you from being vegan?
But I feel
do
like
you want to go vegan right now? What's stopping you from being vegan?
I like meat.
But does your taste preference outweigh taking someone's life?
Well, I wouldn't say it's someone. I would say it's an animal, and they can't
They're
really.
a sentient being. You're taking a subject's life away. How do you justify that? Just for your taste pleasure.
So where's the like line crossed on sentient and
They're
non-sentient?
sentient. They're sentient.
Yeah,
So they're experiencing the world and making preferences. They prefer to be comfortable. They don't want to be uncomfortable. They're making preferences. They don't want to feel a knife across their throat. They run from it. They want to live. You should take that into consideration since you are just doing it for pleasure. Your pleasure is not morally worth more than their entire life. If you take their life, they don't get to have any more experiences. And you're going to forget whatever it was that you used them for within a day. Do you see the injustice? You're like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I don't eat people though. I eat cows.
What's the difference? What's the moral difference?
I mean, you are definitely closer aligned to Jeffrey Dahmer than we are because you're using taste as a justification for unaliving someone.
So, do you guys believe that your moral high ground is correct and everyone else is
Do you think that it's morally correct to kick dogs for exercise?
Well, I don't kick dogs, so.
If I was kicking a dog for exercise, do you find that moral?
No, but I definitely don't kick dogs.
Why? Tell me why. Why is that immoral?
Because you're kicking a dog for no reason.
Right, you're causing them harm and suffering when they don't want to feel that, correct?
But what are you using for the difference between cows and stuff? We're using their.
So I'm doing it for my exercise. It benefits me, right? I could kick something else, but for some reason I prefer dogs. Does that make it moral? Should I keep doing that or should I stop?
Well, that's a bad
kick
exercise.
Something else. Why is it bad? It does great for me. I'm buff.
Well, kicking a dog, that's really not how you exercise, to be honest.
So why is it immoral for me to kick the dog?
Because you're not using the dog at all. You're just kicking it.
Yeah, it's giving me benefits. It runs around, so I have to chase it down, and then I kick it again. So why is that morally wrong?
Why are you kicking dogs?
I just told you, it gives me exercise. That's my benefit. Why is that immoral? If you don't get to it, I'll just kick you, and I'll explain it to you in the comments.
Well, that's a horrible exercise, and where you're not using.
So you can't even answer it. Do you see how you can't even admit to yourself that you're causing unnecessary harm to somebody? Because you know what I'm going to say. You can eat alternatives just like I can kick something else. You don't need to use animal body parts and their secretions. You can eat something else. You don't need to cause harm. You don't need to exploit or use someone without their consent.
So if I change to veganism, what's stopping everyone else from eating those cows and doing that stuff?
What's stopping them? Nothing. I'm here talking to one person at a time trying to change people. So because there's a bunch of Jeffrey Dahmers out there. You can go out and be a Jeffrey Dahmer. You think that's moral?
But again,
If
I would
everyone
say that
started
what Jeffrey
graping each
Dahmer
other, would you think it's moral to then be graped?
But I would say what Jeffrey Dahmer did to people is much worse. And you
Why?
comparing people who
Why
eat
is it
meat
worse? Why is it
because
worse?
it's a person.
But
I
you
mean,
can't tell me the difference. Go ahead, lady.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer used like the same justification, pleasure, to do what he did. So that's really the majority of arguments that come up. People are like, well, it just tastes good. It's just because I like it. That's not a really good moral justification.
Well, I would say that I use them for protein.
I mean,
which
Jeffrey
you
Dahmer
don't.
was using them for protein too. So, like, what's the difference?
No,
The
Jeffrey
justification
Dahmer
you're
was
using
using
is
them
exactly
for.
the same.
No, Jeffrey Dahmer was actually using them for. I don't remember his exact manifesto, but I don't know why we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, who's killing people, innocent people who did nothing wrong, compared to a cow.
A cow that did nothing wrong.
Can I ask you a question, C-Dog? How come you said that you don't eat the chickens that you have on your farm?
Because I let them die of old age.
Why? Do you eat chicken? Do you eat chicken, just not the ones that are on your farm?
Yeah, I would eat chicken, but I like my chickens.
So why do you like your chickens? Like, how come you choose to not eat the chickens on your farm and let them die of old age, but still eat chicken you buy from a store? What's the difference?
Because my chickens are nice to me.
If you feel that way about the chickens on your farm, how come you can't extend that to all the other chickens that you eat? What's like, I don't understand.
Because I don't have the money to buy a farm that big that's giving chickens to stores and stuff, so I really can't do that.
Do you think that what happens to these chickens on hatcheries is moral? Do you think that what they go through, the extent at which they're artificially inseminated, and everything that she told you, how the males are blended up alive on day one or gassed or suffocated, do you think that that's cruel? Do you think that that's respecting animals?
No, but I try to respect my animals, so.
So if you think that that's not respecting animals, do you think that you continuously buying chickens from that hatchery is not contributing to that hatchery continuing to do what it does?
But me stopping from buying chickens doesn't stop other people from doing the same exact thing.
But that's the way that all injustices work, right? If you say that, well, if I stop, it's not going to matter because everybody else is going to stop. If everybody that bought from that hatchery did stop, you starting with you, and then the next person, and the next person, and the next person, and nobody's buying from that hatchery anymore, do you think that that hatchery is still going to produce chickens to sell, or are they going to just shut down?
Well, so they're not going to shut down. I don't think they would.
If nobody's buying chickens from them because everybody stopped buying, what are they going to do with all the chickens? They're going to keep producing chickens in their hatchery and just keep them there in overabundance? Like, what are they going to do? They'd probably shut down, right?
Yeah, but what are we going to do with the shut down chickens? Like you guys say like, "Oh, if every one of these shuts down, what happens to the animals?"
But did we not agree that the hatchery is producing chickens through artificial insemination? So it's not like they're just, here's a rooster and they're just breeding naturally. They're being forced into conditions to produce more eggs for more hatchlings to sell to you at an extended or I guess at an extensive increased rate, right? So how can you say that we're going to have an overpopulation of all these chickens if we're producing them at abnormal rates? Right?
So an overpopulation of chickens. I do have a question though before I leave for work. So if humans at the very beginning, because we're to completely go hunter-gatherer and get rid of the hunter part, just be gatherers, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So you saying that, well, this shouldn't be happening, and we're already at a food
C-Dog, I'm just going to stop you right there. Veganism is a stance against exploitation, okay? Being against slavery doesn't require caring about any other system but the injustice of someone being, enslaved and exploited without their consent.
Yeah, it's kind
That
of
is
like,
immoral.
yeah,
Go
you're
ahead.
doing backwards thinking because just to say that, oh, what we did in the past is how we got here. You can say that about a lot of cruel things that have happened in the world and say, well, we should do it now. Women weren't allowed to vote back then, but because of that, we got to where we are today. So, hey, maybe women shouldn't vote. Hey, we had slaves back then and it got our country to where we are now. So why don't we use slaves now? It's just like backwards thinking. You're kind of going in circles and not making sense. Because if you apply that to everything else that has happened in the past that we look back in history and deem through injustice or immoral, we wouldn't say, well, we should do it today. We understand that that happened, that shouldn't happen again, and we've learned from it and we move on. So I don't understand
So
why you hold that stance with what you eat, but not with everything else that happens in the world. Like it doesn't make sense. That's why we end up on conversations about Jeffrey Dahmer, because if you have that kind of logic with just eating animals, then why don't you hold that logic to everything else that you do? You don't.
So I do have a question before I leave for work. So you guys agree that there is already a food shortage across the whole entire world, correct?
We could fix that with a vegan world, because vegan world would use 75% less ag land and feed more than our current population. We could feed like 10 billion people. Well, because we wouldn't feed the animals anymore. They wouldn't be here. We feed
So where are the animals
92.2
going?
billion animals every year.
So the food shortage is taking out the
It's
animals.
from animal ag.
We eat plants, right?
Yes.
Then what happens to forests and
I
agricultural?
just told you, Sea Dog, we would reduce. Do you know what reduce means?
Yes.
We would use less ag land if we had a vegan world. So that means we would not grow as many plants because we wouldn't have the animals to feed anymore. So all that land could either be rewild or used to grow foods that humans eat.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't a lot of the Amazon rainforest fires purposefully done to make space for cattle, for livestock? I'm pretty sure that's.
No, because they can't have cattle in there. It was actually done because of the upcoming.
Oh, Sea Dog, you're very wrong. It is absolutely cattle farming. It's like 80 to 90% cattle farming. Go look it up. Yeah, it's a fact. They use it for their food and for grazing.
Yeah, I think even I looked it up just now, just to help you prove a point, to make you feel better about your statement. It says the number one reason was cattle ranching, second agriculture, and then there's other things like illegal logging. But the top two is primarily cattle ranching and agriculture. And like this goes for anybody in the live stream period. When you guys have questions and you come up here, it's her live stream and she has a question that you're here to answer. But if you come with these questions, at least do yourself the service that when you leave here, if you stand true in what you're saying, the question that you're asking, like you're saying right now, it's not for cattle ranching. Go get off this live stream when it's done and
I
Google
looked it
search.
up. It is for cattle ranching. I was incorrect about that. I'll admit it.
That's fine. It's like a general thing for everybody because a lot of people will regurgitate stuff that they hear from other people, and you say things and you say it with vindication that you are true in what you're saying. Just Google search and do the research because a lot of the information that is given to you guys today is not inaccessible to you. You have the information out there to find it, whether it's having a child on a vegan diet, which I have, and Lydia has said too. My son grew up vegan and no health conditions, no health problems, perfectly fine. And everything else, any other questions that you guys come forward with, like you guys have the information out there to look it up. What happens to chickens and what happens to males when they're born on their first day of life is common knowledge and common practice and considered moral. So you should, or common practice, you should definitely look into it.
Yeah, I did look into it. I thought it was because of the increase of AI usage, which is actively taking out ecosystems.
And the thing that you have to also consider specifically about that topic is even though cattle ranching is number one, and second is agriculture. It's not even that agriculture is only for humans. A majority of that agriculture also goes to cattle and to livestock. So it's not even like the top two. It's like cows are the number one reason, and then humans number two. It's like still majority. The top two reasons of why those forest fires are happening is because of animal agriculture. So it's even more than you might be perceiving of why that's happening.
Yeah, and I did look it up.
You did mention AI. I just want to be clear. That's more about like water use, not so much ecosystems being destroyed.
Oh no, I was
They take a lot of energy to cool down the servers. But if you're worried about that, I would stay off the internet altogether, because that's how all companies on the internet run. They all have servers that they have to cool somewhere.
Yeah, and Bitcoin mining such as that, but that's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah, it's not about rights being violated for pleasure or entertainment, which is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I've got to get to work. So
Okay. Well, Dog, I just want you to carry this in your mind. How many animals do you want exploited, used unnecessarily for you? How many more from now on?
The same way that you feel that sort of compassion towards the chickens that you have on your farm, that you grow attachments to them, you can have that sort of capacity of love for any of the other chickens that are out in the world. So you should extend that to everything else that you're eating and consuming, because they have the same capacity of feelings as the chickens that you care about on your farm.
that makes sense. All right, I'm gonna head off to work. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good
I appreciate
day.
you coming up, Dog. If you get a chance, watch Dominion. Watch Dominion, okay?
What is it? Dominion?
It's a movie on YouTube. It's free. Just
Okay,
screenshot it.
all right.
And go check it out later.
Yeah, let me
I
screenshot
appreciate
real
you coming.
quick. All right, yep, have a good day.
Thanks for coming up.
No problem.
Awesome. I do like open-minded people. I'll entertain any question from a genuine person asking the question. Sometimes I am a little heated when I go into the conversation, so I also appreciate having vegans as backup to kind of calm me down if I jump the gun. Funeral. I believe you've been there for a while. For some reason, you're at the bottom. Hey, are you over 18?
Yes, I'm 19. Hello.
Hey, do you think humans should respect animals?
110%. I own a goat farm. I love all of them very much to death.
Can you respect someone while using them without their consent?
We do milk them so that we can produce cheese and actually make an income for our farm.
Okay, so would that be moral if I did that to humans?
If you were forcing a woman to pump milk for her baby, then no, that is not right.
I agree. Do you know why?
Why it's wrong to force, or because yes, it's technically sexual assault.
Right. You're forcing your purpose on someone else without their consent, right? They have their own purpose and wants and preferences, and it's immoral to force something onto them, right?
Sorry, you might hear my dogs barking. There might be a coyote on the
That's
property.
fine. That's okay. Yeah, no, they're fine. They're not that loud.
I personally, I refuse to milk the goats because
that's not even really the worst part of it. The worst part is that they are forced to be pregnant, right? Someone decided for them when they were going to get pregnant.
Well, that wasn't our farm. That was a different one because we let.
I mean, that doesn't matter. You
process.
apparently purchased this animal in that state, so you're actually making a demand for that, for animals that have been sexually assaulted.
We got them as a type of gift, which caused us to start making it a goat farm from our friend who runs a full-on farm with different kinds of animals.
So I guess what morally justifies that?
We have to make some kind of income. We grew up from poverty, and
okay, I don't really have empathy for you because there were slave owners that, grew up from poverty and made themselves something out of using slaves, but it was still immoral for them to enslave someone, to exploit someone, and to use them for their own purpose.
It's just.
Do you know what veganism is?
Veganism is not using any product that was not made, but taken from an animal. It isn't just food, it is also products.
Yeah, that is our habits. Do you know why vegans might have that habit?
I know you all are very against, like, wanting to harm animals in any form of way, even
Well,
when
it
it
goes
comes
further
to.
beyond harm. It's about exploitation. So veganism is a principled stance against exploitation of animals and sentient beings in general. Just, if someone is having an experience of the world, it is immoral to force a purpose onto them or to use them without their consent just because they're vulnerable and for our benefit.
Like I said, we let our goats run the course. We only use their milk to produce cheese. They live a very happy life on our farm. They have all the
but there were
toys.
slaves that were bred into existence to be slaves, and they were treated really well, but it was still immoral to do that to them because it was someone having an experience of the world, and they had that robbed from them. They had their own purpose taken from them and something else forced on them. And if you wanted to change it, I understand that you're really into it. You're in a farm situation that makes it a little harder. You're more invested in it. There are resources for people that want to transition away from using animals. There's transformation, and then there's also the Ranchers Advocacy Program, which is by Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. She was a rancher, and she transitioned her farm into an animal sanctuary. And she helps other farms do the same thing. She's a great resource.
Well, we have a female that we did rescue from a slaughter institution or lives nearby. Because we got a personal call from someone we knew that was like, hey, we know you have a goat farm. This was recently too. She has fit so well. She has this little ball she likes to boop around. She's so adorable.
Yeah. So, do you not? I assume then you don't send your goats off to slaughter since you rescued one from a slaughter. Okay, so why do you not send them to slaughter?
We all grow very attached to our goats here, and we couldn't bring ourselves, even our family, a different side that lives all the way in Pennsylvania, they personally hunt and they have requested to get the meat from us, and we refuse to give up the goats for any form of meat.
So you might have to repeat yourself. The mic kind of got a little quiet. They request that they do what with the goats?
They wanted to receive meat from us, and we were like, no, these are our goats. We very much care, and they're part of our family.
So are you using these goats, though, you're not using them for profit then?
Only their cheese, like taking the milk and turning into cheese.
I see.
That's the only thing. We refuse to slaughter them or breed them.
So you've grown attached to them, right? Yes. Do you recognize that they're sentient? That they're making? Obviously, they play with balls and they have preferences.
Of course.
Okay. You said though that do you guys AI or mate the goats on your farm at all?
Nope. If they want to do their natural mating, they're allowed to. We will take in those fillies and take care of them as well.
Okay, so you have both boys and girls?
Yes.
Okay, so when the babies are born, what do you do with them? Or do you just
raise them
expand?
And we have another farm that's nearby that she also takes in some goats, but she's more of a bigger farm than we have, so she's actually able to take those goats. And I don't know what she does with the babies. I fear if she did use them for mutton, then that's her and not our farm's moral code, but that might be hers.
Well, so the point is that, when you see animals as resources, the line then that you draw is arbitrary. It's just because it's within your circle, like you know them. You've met these goats, you know them individually. It sounds like you do have some compassion for animals outside of that, but you still see your goats as a resource. Like if they don't produce milk anymore, it sounds like you possibly do still care for them?
Yes, until they die of elderly age. Our female wasn't able to produce milk one year. She had gotten very ill, and we still took care of her until she made a full recovery. And as of recently, she was able to produce some more milk.
Okay. Well, it is admirable that you still care for them into their elder age. You are still exploiting them, though. You're still using them. Just like if we were to have old people in old folks' homes, and because we're caring for them, it now justifies us taking their hair and their toenails without their consent. Like, it may not harm them, and we may be taking good care of them, but that's immoral to use them without their consent. It's not their benefit. Go ahead, Lydia.
And I mean, the perpetual issue, especially with dairy farming of any kind, is it's a pregnancy-induced product, so you're always going to have babies to account for. So I know that you said your farm doesn't, unalive the animals there, because generally a lot of dairy farms, I mean, they can't have a bunch of wethers because they cost money to feed. And like you said, the other farm takes them in, but you guys are still morally responsible for what happens to the babies that you are producing on your farm. So regardless of what she's doing on her farm, you guys are still responsible for those babies because you are choosing to produce them.
Well, it's, like I said, it's our goats' choice if they want to, do their thing. It's just we don't have the room to have all of these goats roaming around. We only have so many acres.
So the thing is, like, it is the goat's choice to breed. They are going to breed, but you as their caretaker should have the males neutered so they cannot breed, or them separated so they cannot breed.
We do try to keep them separated, but the males, they keep finding, like, holes that our dogs will dig to try and get to the goats. And it's more separation that we have to do. It's still a long process.
I think Lydia's point, though, is just that it's management, right? It is doable that you can prevent more babies from being born into existence, which is the problem, is that you're continually perpetuating, forcing, or relying on someone's pregnancy so that you can use their body without their consent, and that's immoral. And you can stop that by taking efforts to prevent them, further efforts. I understand there's been mistakes that's going to happen, but you learn from those mistakes, you ask for help, and you figure it out. If you truly care about stopping it, right? That's just what you're going to do to take care of them. That's your responsibility.
There's only one male we allow to be put with, like, a female, so we can actually still produce money. We have other jobs.
So the point is, you are exploiting someone, and that's immoral. It doesn't matter how nice it is. It doesn't matter. You're exploiting someone. You're using them without their consent. Would you tolerate that? We just talked about that we wouldn't think it's moral for a mother to be forced to pump milk for someone else.
It's just, well, some mothers even sell their own breast milk to make an income.
With their consent, though.
As morally wrong as it can be seen by any group of people, it's
that they're selling their breast milk? That's not immoral. That's consent. They're using they're consenting to pump their breast milk and sell it. They're not being forced to be pregnant so that they produce breast milk, which is what's happening to your goats. They have to be pregnant so that you can use them for their cheese. That's the only reason you keep them around and you keep buying them. You're forcing more beings to be forced to be in existence to have your purpose, not their purpose, not whatever they want to do, but what you want from them.
We have to make an income in some form of way.
You don't need to make an income off of slaves, though. You can make an income off of something else, which is the point. I understand that's hard. I have resources for people that don't know where the next step is if you genuinely want to make the change. And I understand change is scary, but it doesn't justify you using someone else's body without their consent.
I live on the farm. I'm studying to go work with my own personal business that's owned by my uncle. I
would suggest you go talk. If they're on a farm, I don't care about if they're going to teach you humane ways to do things. That doesn't matter. I understand that you're very invested in animal agriculture, but it doesn't justify you continuing it. Just as I keep referencing back in the 1800s when people relied on slave labor, even though they were very invested in it, it didn't morally justify using someone for their body without their consent. So I understand that it's difficult for you, but you can still make a change. You can still recognize the immorality that you're doing.
Well, the slaves did a labor, and the wealthy people were already buying them, while we are not a high-income family and have to make
That
something.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're using someone. It doesn't matter if you're rich or not. You're using someone for your benefit when you can do something else. You don't need to use someone. They're a sentient being. It's immoral to use them without their consent. I suggest you go talk to the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. Like, no strings attached. Just talk to her and get her perspective. Because like I said, she was a rancher. She had cattle. She loved her cows, even before she went vegan.
Well, like I said, we very much love our goats.
I understand that you care about them, but you already told me it would be immoral to do what you do to animals, to do that to humans. There's no moral difference between us, other than maybe they think differently and they have a different shaped body. But they're still a sentient being experiencing the world, making preferences. And it's not fair, even if they're not aware of it, it's unfair to put your purpose on them for your benefit. You know, it's fine if you're looking out for them and you're caring for them for what's in their best interest, but you should never do that because it's in your best interest. It's your benefit, right? That's what everything comes down to, is you're keeping them for your benefit to profit off of their breast milk.
Well, like I said,
and you constantly have to have a pregnant goat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not the one to milk them because, like I said before,
It doesn't matter.
I don't want to.
It doesn't matter. You're supporting it. You're demanding it.
I will invest in the female that you have talked about, how she loved her cows and invested into moving away from all of that. But
She's a great resource.
I can't promise that my family will see the same as much as they love the goats. They're very hard-headed people.
That's fair. My family's hard-headed too. I get that.
I mean, I grew up on a farm and had to butcher my own animals, milk my own animals, go hunting, fishing, and my family still hasn't changed because they just don't fully get it. But I mean, my dad has been unaliving animals for almost 80 years. So it's just some people, you know, can't change, but what's important is doing what you feel like is right and how you want to represent yourself in the world.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I'm going to invest in it, but I'm moving away from the farm, or at least going to try to when my own kin come, because my uncle is going to pass away any day now, and I have to take over the business.
I'm sorry about your uncle.
It's alright. He's a funeral director, and it's going to be very morbid to be in there just all the time.
Yeah, you have to have a strong heart for that job for sure.
At least I'll be working with people who I'm sure live their lives and have already passed, instead of, you know, being on a cheese farm practically.
Right. Yes. Yeah. You don't have to worry about considering the morality of your job because you're not crossing someone's autonomy without their consent.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, Funeral, I have a question actually.
Yes, what is it?
You were mentioning how much you love your goats and how much you take care of them. Do you eat animal products at all, or?
I try not to. I have a lot of supplements that I take because I do have a lot of wrong with my body, and my iron deficiency pills don't always help, so we have to use an iron skillet and use outsourced meat to at least try to get some protein in my body. But besides that, I do try my best to stray away from any kind of meat.
Okay. Well, I do have. Oh, go ahead. Vegan perspective. Do you have something to add?
Well, I guess I don't really. I don't know. I that topic is always a hard conversation to delve into because obviously everybody's own medical issues I try to stay away from. But you know, it's hard to say that. I don't know. The iron deficiency and protein to me doesn't really feel like a valid reason to say that I consume animal products or eat animals. There's tons of resources. There's tons of other fruits, veggies, legumes, beans that contain plenty of iron, contain plenty of protein. I don't know your physical structure to know how much protein you specifically need in a day, but I doubt it's as much as you might think if for some reason
Well,
protein is an
we
issue for you.
do cook up a lot of vegetables in the iron skillet because we also, on top of the goats, we have some, produce that we farm for ourselves. We cook them in the skillet, but sometimes it's just unfortunately not enough. As someone who's had this deficiency since birth,
Right. Okay.
Well, so I do have a source for that. That is, whoops, sorry, I have the thing mirrored. But Challenge 22, that top one right there, is a dietitian, an actual dietitian, and they're free. And they can talk to you about what you can do. Obviously, if your supplements aren't working, they might be able to talk to you about your habits. Are you drinking lots of tea or coffee? I don't want to go through it because I'm not a nutritionist, but the Challenge 22, like I said, they have a dietitian there that you can talk to about your specific needs in your specific area. And they can help you make sure you get your protein and your iron, because I guarantee there are sources in vegan food that you can use. But sometimes you just have to plan a little bit, like eating a little bit of citrus before you eat your dark leafy greens, not having coffee and tea within 2 hours of a meal.
that's fair, but I don't know what I'd do without coffee.
So it's not without I still drink coffee too. It's just planning when you eat your iron, within that window is the only thing you got to do. Like I'm pretty sure Lydia said that she also had iron deficiencies because dairy also is an iron leach. So if you're consuming a lot of animal dairy, that can also affect your iron levels. But that's something that, like I said, the dietitians can help you with. I don't want to mislead you, and I don't want you to get sick. Your health is important. So that's why I have that up there.
I mean, like I said, I was gonna look into that girl you talked about.
Yeah,
I'll even
the
look
ratty
into
girl.
this. Yes.
Absolutely, as you should. Yes, please do that, and then come back and talk to me, and see where we can go from there, or like how you're feeling. I just want to know if your perspective is different after talking to her.
Right. And thank you so much for having me on your live to discuss about my own farm and future plans, and even looking into some stuff to see what I can do even more on my part.
I really appreciate your open-mindedness. It's refreshing, and it's just helpful for other people because then we actually can answer questions that people have. So I do appreciate you coming up.
It sounds like you're almost there. Like, you obviously have a deep connection to the animals on your farm. You obviously feel bad that you have to take what you feel like is necessary steps to get the nutrients that you need. It sounds like you're almost there. You understand that there's a wrong to what's happening to these animals. So just like she said, check out Challenge 22. They really will go all in and helping you figure out based off where you live, what your dietary restrictions are. Like, there are steps that you can take to get the health that the nutrients for your health that you need, and also satisfy that side of you that feels terrible for what happens to the animals on your farm, or what happens to, like you said, the lady down the road that you don't know if she kills her goats, and that makes you sad. Like, there's a way for you to completely avoid that. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit better, but definitely check out Challenge 22.
Of course, and I'm even visiting the owner of the other farm soon. She says that she still has the baby goats in her care, so I'm hoping that's fully true. It's just something I feel like personally I have to check out to make sure that the babies we had on our farm are living a happy life like we are giving to ours.
It's admirable that you're checking in on them, but again, exploitation is. I understand it's good that she doesn't abuse them, but the use of them without their consent is abuse. So I hope that they're not suffering immensely either, but technically by just being enslaved, they're still suffering.
Well, from what I know, she mostly has chickens.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, chickens are still sentient too. They're they remember, I think, like up to 100 faces or something like that. They have hierarchies. They have friends.
I believe that I don't think she has any roosters besides one that she lets roam outside just so the females produce like non-fertile eggs.
Right. Yeah, we're all the boys. Based off evolution, there should be a boy for every female.
Well, that's just her personal how she's running things. I don't know.
So most farms dispose of them. They either, because they have to wait till they hatch, because you can't tell when they're in the egg. So their first day of life, they're usually thrown into a bag, tied off, or in a blender. If they get them from a hatchery, it happens in a blender. If it happens on the small farm, they do whatever they can, which is usually tie them off in a bag or crush them or drown them. But large scale, they typically will either gas them in CO2 or they'll blend them up, which is the most common method. And so she's probably purchasing her chickens, I assume, so she doesn't have to handle the other messy part. It just keeps a rooster to, like you say, keep the chickens active.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
there's just no right way to exploit someone.
I hardly see the farm besides when we, give the goats.
Yeah, I understand. You're just going there to check on your goat.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it clear that all these animals, I understand you're looking out for their welfare, but if you care about their welfare, you just won't use them at all because you're violating their autonomy. I understand you wanted to go. I didn't mean to keep you here, but...
No, it's of course. It's okay. I love getting to discuss and, like I said, talk to people about how we are doing things as a family here and, like I said, my plans for the future.
Yeah. Just always ask yourself what I want this done to me and why don't I want it done to me.
Well, thank you so much for everything. I'm gonna screenshot the screen real quick.
Yes.
So
yes, and then Rowdy Girl. Look up Rowdy Girl.
All right. Thank you all for your time.
Yes, thank you for coming up. And like I said, hit me up after you talk to Rowdy Girl.
Of course.
Cool. You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. All right. Let's see, where are we at as far as time? All right, I'll go another 20 minutes. See, maybe take one or two more guests. I am feeling tired. Let's see. I don't know. I think you guys have all been up here about the same. I'm going to do Fire Dude. Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, by several years.
Cool. Do you think humans should respect animals?
Yes.
Cool. Do you use animal products?
Yes.
Do you think you can respect someone while using them without their consent?
Yes. You treat them with
how
dignity.
so?
You treat them with dignity and make their demise as humane as possible.
Can I do that to you?
What?
Can I do that to you? Is that acceptable treatment for you?
We have a morality code. I have a morality code.
Oh, so you're a moral agent is what you're saying, because you can weigh out rights and wrongs. And they're moral patients, so they're a little more vulnerable to you might say.
Right.
Okay. So why does might make right in your mind?
Still, you treat them with dignity. You make their demise as humane as possible. Now, reason why
you didn't answer my question. Why does might make right? Why is it that just because you're bigger than them, that makes it morally acceptable for you to do what you want to them?
Bigger than them? I'm not bigger than a cow.
Okay, the fact that you can dominate someone, why does that morally make it okay for you to use them?
Well, me personally, I know we need meat. I'm sorry, but we do.
We don't. I've been vegan 8 years. I'm totally healthy. I have resources above me if you want to verify. Challenge 22 to talk to a dietitian about how you can go vegan. NutritionFacts.org goes over the studies that tell you what's vegan or what's healthy.
Okay. I was trained in nutrition by a professor with PhDs in biology.
Okay, we'll go argue with the dietitian then.
I got my information from a PhD trained professor.
I don't care. Go argue with the dietitian. I know for a fact that you can eat a vegan diet and be healthy.
I didn't get on here about that. I have my beliefs, and I'm going to maintain my beliefs.
Okay, you can believe what you want. Just don't exploit someone else for your convenience and pleasure.
Okay. like I said, I got on here. I hit the join button because of I have an issue with a couple things you said. You were talking about hunting. That
I'm not here to talk about hunting. I'm here to talk about animal rights.
well, you
That's
mentioned
it.
you brought it up, and that's what I wanted to discuss.
Someone else brought up population control and hunting, and I said hunting is immoral. Okay.
Okay. Well, how would you do it?
Do what?
Population control of animals.
Oh, I would consider my other options, which are like birth control and maintaining their environments.
Wild animals, you're going to give them birth control?
Yeah.
Okay. You know the most dangerous animal in North America is the white-tailed deer, right?
How does this justify your use of animals?
Okay, well, you mentioned that you would consider professionals only, not your average hunter. Which you can say.
If it's going to be a tool in our toolbox, it should be done by professionals, not just everyone and their children.
Right. Okay. Well, so you would have someone go out there, professionals go out there and shoot the deer?
I would prefer that we do alternative methods first. And if there was literally nothing else we can do and it was threatening human life, then yeah, as a last resort, I would have professionals take them out. But I don't think that that's the situation here.
That is the situation.
No, the situation is you're using animals that require so many plants that we're encroaching on wildlife in land. I can't think of the word. We're encroaching on their space, and they're now trying to find food by eating our food. If we stop for a second. If we stopped using animals, we would reduce our land use by 75%. We could give land back to these animals and they won't be interfering with our farms anymore. They would have access to their food. We could improve our plant growing so that we don't have crop deaths. We could grow vertically or indoors.
Okay. Deer are still they're curious. They're going to
So what?
Wander. And more people die from car accidents with white-tailed deer than any other animal in this country. So you're going to
didn't hear what I just said, did you?
I did.
What did I just say?
You're still going to go around. You'd have to cordon off entire areas going, all right, no one's allowed to live here because the deer...
Look, you're still not justifying your use of animals. We can use other methods to reduce populations if necessary. You just really, really, really enjoy shooting, so you're holding on to that. But you know what? It's immoral. It's immoral, my friend. It's immoral. It's immoral. It's immoral. It's immoral. It's immoral. It's immoral. Well, then why are you defending it? Why are you using it as the excuse that you get to use animals because some hunter told you that animals are overproducing?
It's not the hunter. My state Department of Natural Resources puts out reports on where deer populations...
Yeah, it's unnecessary, though. They do it because there's someone paying for it. There's fun. Someone's paying for a ride and entertainment. It's not an actual conservation tactic. If it really was, we would have professionals doing it, not just Joe Schmoes.
No,
it's just ridiculous. Hunting is ridiculous. Hunting is ridiculous. We can obviously maintain their populations easily. Like I said, we can use birth control. We can put up walls. There are other things we can do. We can maintain their habitat. There's the word I was looking for.
You want to put up walls? You want to
Habitats.
put the entire population of white-tailed deer in my state in a zoo?
I don't care about your white-tailed deer population, BS, whatever. I don't care. It does not justify you using animals. You don't have a right to go out there and pew-pew. No, you don't. Why don't you pew-pew humans? Hey, fire dude, why don't you pew-pew humans? There's so many of them. They spread disease, and they're ruining the ecosystems and the habitats. They're encroaching on our food systems. Why not take out the excess humans that we don't like? Why don't we just shoot them in the street?
Causing me harm?
Yes, they're intruding on your food. They're eating your food.
I mean, humans are technically the most dangerous animals in North America.
Well, I said wild animal.
It'd be also, I would not want to meet a human in the wild either.
A wild human?
What is your justification for using animals when you don't need to?
I need to.
You don't need to. You're just...
No.
All right. Well, you have a great day. I'm done talking to you. I've already clarified. You don't need to. Right here. These are all my evidences. Go talk to an actual dietitian. You don't know what you're talking about. Go talk to someone who's actually studied diet and how it affects health. If you don't, you can look at the science yourself. Nutritionfacts.org. They break down all the studies. What is healthy? What makes something healthy? Is it longevity, quality of life? Guess what? A whole food plant-based diet improves both of those. Decreases all-cause mortality. So yeah, you can go vegan. You can thrive on a vegan diet. In fact, you don't want to let go of your entertainment. You like hunting sentient beings. You like to go pew-pew, or you like the idea for some reason. I don't know. You said you don't hunt animals. I don't know how that justifies you paying for cows and pigs and chickens to be unalived for your taste pleasure. But I kind of lost my patience with you.
And I would
Sorry,
say in
perspective.
regard to the claim that he made that white-tailed deer, cause car accidents and all this stuff, I've actually found studies that show that more car accidents with white-tailed deer occur during hunting season because people are encroaching on their territory, stirring them up, unaliving their family members. So of course they're going to spread and scatter.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I don't understand too why people are telling me this is a good thing when we don't even do it to humans because it's inhumane. Gross, guys. Like, why is it that you want to kill? That's crazy. I think Neo, you've been waiting a minute.
Alright, hi.
Are you a child? Are you over 18?
No, I just have a really broken voice.
So yeah, you're a child. Ask your question in the chat. I'm sure that some of the vegans in there can answer it for you. D. Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah.
Okay. Should humans respect animals?
Yep.
Okay. Do you use animal products?
Yep.
Do you think it's moral to use someone without their consent and still pay for it? Do you think you could be against something while paying for it?
What?
Can you be against, I guess I did turn that around. You said you're okay with respecting animals, but you use them. Can you respect someone and use them without their consent morally?
Yeah.
How? Can I use you without your consent morally?
Wow. Nah.
If you want to engage, I would love to talk to you, but if you're distracted, you can come back another time.
I'm not distracted, I'm just doing...
Okay. I don't care to sit here and wait for you to take forever to respond, whatever you're doing at the same time. Like, I would rather have an actual conversation with someone. Can you engage? All right, cheese is yummy. I love vegan cheese, by the way. I love Vile Life. It's my favorite. Also, Nooch. Nooch is life. Hey, are you over 18? Oh my gosh, you are so young. I'm sorry, hun. Ask questions in the chat. If you're under 18, I can't talk to you. It's TikTok rules. Hunter, let's try this again, I guess.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, so, do you still... I don't remember your opinion. Do you think humans should respect animals?
100%. Honestly,
Okay.
fuck the meat packing industry and everything.
Mhm.
I'm completely against it.
Yeah.
But if you want me to be completely honest and fair, I do hunt, and I am secretly a hunter. Always have been. My whole family is. But I've seen
Was I talking
what
to you
comes
earlier?
in and out of meat packing. No, you were not. I'm completely new.
Oh, okay. Just let me know if... Are you over 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead. Carry on then.
Okay. If my internet's kind of fucking shitty, I'm sorry.
It is low. I'll let you know if I can't hear you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. But I am a hunter, and I sacredly hunt, but I do no disrespectful things to the animals. I don't deal with farming stuff really. Honestly, the only thing I buy from any store, meat packing industry, anything, would be bacon, um, a turkey here and there, like every Thanksgiving, not even regularly, and like lunch meat for, fucking work and shit.
Okay, so what gives you the moral justification to use them? To put the demand that another animal go through those systems, even one in the wild? What justifies using them without their consent?
Well, ma'am, honestly, I would say the same exact thing that these animals are probably thinking. I go out in the woods with a gun, bow, anything really, and kill an animal. But if you want me to
So
be
I'm
honest
asking
with
you,
you, I try to
what
kill it as
morally
quickly as
justifies that,
possible. I
though?
don't.
You have options. You just said you shop at a grocery store for some things. That means that you have options to other things,
Okay.
not just flesh, but plant stuff. So I'm asking you, what is stopping you from not using animals anymore and buying those plant-based products instead?
Honestly, sort of like the other guy said, but I'm not as like fully big into it. Like I'll have a conversation, strictly a conversation.
Yeah,
But the
I'll entertain
population is
people
the
that are
most thing
honest.
I'm worried about.
Population, is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Yes,
So if there
ma'am.
was another method, would you be open to it instead of hunting them?
For animals, like eating animals, is that what you're saying?
No. I meant if there was another alternative to maintaining populations of wild animals that are for some reason a bother to us. If I had another alternative method that didn't unalive them, would you be open to that? To that as the solution to the population control?
It strictly depends. Because in
So
my
let's
personal belief,
say in my hypothetical, I have an option that is safe for the animals around them, and it doesn't unalive the animal, but it will reduce their numbers so that they're not so much of a problem in whatever it is, that they cross the road or they eat your crops. Would you be open to that method? Like it's going to be a great solution.
probably.
Okay, just the only difference is it's not going to take the life away from this animal. So the problem with hunters is that their go-to is just to pew immediately, instead of considering other methods. There are other methods available, and I want conservationists, who are the ones that should be maintaining these populations, to consider all the tools available to them, which could be birth control, could be somehow shaping their habitat so that they don't interact with humans.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but have you seen a grizzly?
So it doesn't matter. That's why I was trying to give you the example. Like your turn to violence is just because it's easy and cheaper, right? You just want. I understand that a grizzly can be violent, but if we weren't encroaching on their land, they probably wouldn't be interacting with us so much. If we stopped using animals, we could rewild land and give land back to the animals. That's why I was trying to say the idea of hunting. Go ahead, sorry.
It's fine.
I think we have a delay because. Go ahead.
It is a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. I completely understand what you mean and why you're worried about it too. But
well,
the point that
because
I'm
we
trying
don't
to
need
get
to,
at is
we just don't need to use them. Is my point. We should respect them by not using them. Go ahead. Sorry.
well, I completely understand what you mean. Completely. But where I've grew up around hunting, everything, I see what you mean. Perfectly understand.
Okay, so what's stopping you from being vegan now?
My point is the expenses, honestly. Well, I live in Kentucky. I don't know about you guys.
Vegan food is actually quite cheap. Beans, rice. If you're looking to save money, it'll actually be the cheapest diet. The healthiest diet is also the cheapest diet, funny enough. Because beans, rice,
but what I do,
local in-season fruits and vegetables, frozen fruits and vegetables, canned fruits and vegetables.
Yes. Honestly, me and my family probably spend, I would say, every bit of $80 on meat a year, and that's it. And
It
I
doesn't matter.
strictly only hunt because of that reason.
Yeah, you're still seeing them as resources when you don't need to is the point. You don't need to use violence. You don't need to hunt. You don't need to purchase animal flesh from the store. Pigs for bacon are put in gas chambers, you know. There's no humane way, and that's like they call that the most humane way to stun a pig. There's no humane way to exploit someone without their consent. So using animals in any fashion is immoral. Like, just imagine if you were in their situation. Would you tolerate any of this just because it's someone's taste pleasure and their entertainment?
Honestly, if I was to get killed, I don't care what is done with my body afterwards. And
But let's say you don't
honestly,
have to
when I
be
die, I'm gonna
killed.
be thrown out in the middle.
Let's say you don't have to die in this scenario. Would you prefer to keep living?
Honestly, depends what it's for. It really depends.
Right now. Do you want to keep living or do you want me to unalive you?
I'd be fine
Bar
with
is
you killing
really
me.
low. So what if I did it to your mother?
I know. I see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're
If it's
laughing,
not
but
hurt-
you're now saying that human rights don't matter.
Human rights do matter.
Right. So me
But what I'm
using your
saying is
mom.
when it's somebody's time to go, it's somebody's time to go. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm gonna
I
use
could
your
be,
mom right now.
for
I'm
example,
gonna take your mom
hunting
out
right now.
right
hunting
now. I'm gonna
right
hunt your mom in the backyard. She's had a free range life now. I'm gonna hunt her for my. There's too many humans right now, so I'm gonna hunt her and I'm gonna eat her. Is that moral?
It's life.
It's not moral.
Being dead.
It's not moral.
Dead seriously. It's life.
Yeah, but
It's
we don't
life,
hunt
though,
humans.
man.
We find that immoral. Hunting humans is immoral. If you talk to any other person, they're gonna be like, I don't want to be hunted.
What about war?
Do people like being shot
War.
at? Do you think people like being hunted? Tell me that. Say people like to be
I
hunted.
plan on going into the service.
Do you want to be
going to
hunted?
service for your freedom.
Are you telling me you want to be hunted?
Let's move on. Let's.
Well, honestly, I'm probably gonna call it there. I'm feeling really tired.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was about to move on. I was like, you just said your kids. I was honestly only entertaining them just because I was kind of in the last kind of few minutes of what I thought I was gonna put out there. So that's human rights. Get out of here. Yeah, if you don't believe in human rights, I don't even care to know you. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna end the live there. I do appreciate Lydia. You're always amazing and plethora of information. Appreciate you being here. And Vegan Perspective. Also, you definitely hit it right out of the park with the ethics with that guy that was just being disingenuous. I hate using that word, but it just really fits well with a lot of these people. They're being dishonest, and I think you held them accountable really well. So, really appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, well, everyone have a great vegan day. I may or may not do a special live for like New Year's Eve. We'll see. Maybe New Year's Day. I'll post something. If not, you won't see anything. So keep an eye out. All right, guys, have a good vegan day and a good
I don't know.